Good afternoon, guys. I'm Jasmine Cornell here at Fox 5 News Live. Coming from the streaming set, thanks for joining our news conversation today. We are streaming on your social media pages like TikTok and on Fox Local. Let's go ahead and get into what Fox 5 is working on today and bring in Tanya Mendoza. She's our assignment manager. Hey there, Tanya. It's good to see you.
Hey, Jasmine. So, big news coming out of Hartsfield-Jackson Airport once again. Travelers heading to the airport should not only pack their bags, but maybe a little patience because there are several delays once again. And, this all kind of stemmed from the weekend when there was bad weather, and ground stoppage is ground stoppage at Hartsfield and other airports in the United States, plus the TSA worker shortage right now. So all of that combined has continued to cause delays up until today. And we did get word from Delta that they had 21% of Delta flights delayed today and 11% canceled. 400 total delays at Hartsfield-Jackson Airport and 213 cancellations. So we did talk to some frustrated passengers today. Tyler Fingert was out there, and let's listen to what they had to say.
No people to do the TSA from the international flight to the domestic.
So
they asked
you ran
us to
into a hit.
Yes.
A lot of delays and flights getting canceled. Been here for about 2.5 hours, and so gonna end up just staying at a hotel.
So, Jasmine, here's what's happening. And the airport put up a tweet about this issue. And one of those passengers was just referencing this. People, to try to avoid the long security lines, have been going to the international side to cut through there, take the train, and then go to the domestic side to get on their flights and hopefully avoid wait times. Well, the airport was not having it today, and they put up this warning. They've issued an urgent update regarding the international terminal checkpoint. Congestion there has reached critical levels because domestic travelers are attempting to use the terminal to bypass the lines at the domestic terminal. At this time, wait times at international were longer than domestic. I think they have now remedied that, but they're saying if you're traveling domestic, you need to enter on the domestic side. So a serious warning that the airport tweeted today because of the ongoing issues at Hartsfield-Jackson Airport. Jasmine?
Yes, Tanya, I was just talking to my friend about this who is traveling from a different country right now and who was at the airport for hours yesterday. Several delayed flights that he experienced. But I know this is a stressful situation for all parties involved. Understand why that notice was put out by Delta. You just can't go to the international side and cut through if you're traveling domestically. So understand there, but this is a situation that is very frustrating for everyone involved, I know.
Definitely. And like you're saying, people frustrated here, but also people who are trying to get back to Atlanta have been
Yeah.
stuck in other cities. We have somebody who works here who's been stuck in Destin for 2 days, hasn't been able to get a flight back to Atlanta because every time she thinks her flight's going to take off, they cancel it or delay. So, yeah, frustrating situation for people traveling in and out of Hartsfield-Jackson Airport.
Yes, Tanya, another frustrating situation here that we're covering today. Talk about this scam involving NFL and NBA athletes.
Okay, yeah. So yesterday we got an email with a press release from the Justice Department. The federal investigators in Atlanta indicted a Georgia man, I believe from Beaufort, for targeting professional athletes in fraud and sex trafficking schemes. 34 Kwamani Gerald Ford of Beaufort. He was indicted on 22 counts. They say he posed as an adult film star and Apple support to phish login credentials from NBA and NFL players, allegedly coerced a woman into sex trafficking and filmed encounters with athletes without their consent. He pleaded not guilty on March 13th and is being held without bail. So our reporter Ray Yadena is talking to the U.S. attorney here in this area, and he is also talking to the SAC, the special agent in charge of this case. He's going to have all the details, and I'm just looking at like the press release. There's a lot of details in here, and I think people are going to be surprised at how this all transpired and the man's history. So we'll have that later.
Yes, this is a crazy situation involving athletes. Feel very sad for the people involved here. Did the press release say how this man gained access to this personal information for these athletes, personal footage?
So what I'm going to say is Ray's going to have the details. I will say that he was incarcerated already for, I believe it was fraud. And some of these crimes that he managed to do was while he was in custody. So the question is, how does this happen? And I know it's all going to play out in court, but maybe once we talk to investigators today, Ray will have the answers to that question for us at 4, 5, and 6.
Yes, that is an important point you bring up, Tanya. How did he manage to do this behind bars? And I was watching a documentary that was in a different area outside of the U.S. where a man was able to commit crimes and even run a whole business from behind bars. So it's kind of scary, the things that, inmates can get away with when they're incarcerated. Definitely looking forward to seeing what Ray can get on this story. And another big story that we're covering today involving a social circle and a manager there. Can you talk about what this manager has done?
Yeah, that's right. So Sam Daniel, who I think you're going to talk to a little later today, he's been working on this story and helping out our reporter Annie Mapp get the details. So he talked to the city manager of Social Circle, Eric Taylor, who has placed a physical lock on the water meter at the new ICE facility there. The town sewer plant that's where they're doing all of this. They're basically, let me just read you the statement here because I don't want to get this wrong. Social Circle city manager says that there is a lock on the meter. A representative from ICE was informed about the lock on the meter shortly after the sale of the property when she inquired about how to establish an account. The lock is there until ICE indicates how water and sewer will be served without exceeding our limited infrastructure capacity. Our permit to draw water out of the river is 1 million gallons a day. Our sewer plant can process 660,000 gallons per day and is at capacity. Their bluff analysis indicates a daily water and sewer need that exceeds these amounts. So that's big news coming out of there. You see the video there when Senator Warnock was touring that area and listening to what city leaders in Social Circle had to say. I believe that was last week. Annie is working on the story and getting hopefully video of the lock and talking to officials out there about what's next.
And I know many people out there have been, interested in this story. Has ICE said anything about this new development coming from Social Circle, the city leader there, putting a lock on that facility that they have purchased?
We have an email out to them. We have not gotten a response yet. Hopefully by news time at 4 o'clock, we'll have that response and get it to you.
All right, Tanya, thank you so much for joining us today and talking about what Fox 5 is working on. Some big stories here, guys. That's Tanya Mendoza, our assignment manager. Let's move on and continue to talk about the challenges with air travel and how you can navigate them. A lot of people experiencing long wait times and just several issues. Airports across the country are feeling the strain here of the ongoing partial government shutdown, which which is now stretched, we know, beyond a month. Moderate crowds, not even busy crowds, combined with the weather, and then also staffing shortages, people calling out because they're not getting paid, are pushing some airports to their limits. So experts warn that these conditions can get worse for you travelers out there if something isn't done to fix this situation. Katie Nastro, she's a spokesperson for the travel app Going. She joins us live to talk about how you can navigate this situation if you have to travel. Thank you so much, Katie, for joining us this afternoon.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, even amidst this really trying time for both TSA officers as well as travelers.
Yes, Katie, so where are you joining us live from right now?
I am joining from New York, which we are
Okay.
also in the last 24 hours experiencing not just bad weather, but also the pain from this partial shutdown amidst spring break travel, which we're seeing some higher demand this year versus other years in the past.
Yes, and I was just about to ask you, because you're joining from New York, you said you are seeing some issues there. What are the wait times? Do you know the wait times, for travelers, trying to get to their uh, their terminals?
Yeah, luckily Tuesdays are typically the least traveled day across any given day of the week, as opposed to a Monday or even a Sunday, for example, which we saw across this last weekend. Not just the impacts of weather, but also spring break is upon us, and so many people are looking to travel on that sort of Sunday morning time frame. So what we're seeing right now are sort of typical wait times for midday travel. You don't see the uptick in business travel during the week, especially midday. So if anyone hasn't booked a flight or is rebooking a flight, our biggest piece of advice would actually be to try to target a Tuesday or Wednesday and a midday flight if you can. Now, a lot of people are going to be rebooked because of the severe weather that has really impacted much of the eastern states. And so it is going to be tough to sort of get that perfect flight that you have on your bingo card that you want. But if you can and you have future plans, try to target those midday flights. And we're typically seeing less than an hour in most major airports across the New York tri-state area.
Thank you for letting us know. So we talked about weather. Now, we talked about weather, and we talked about, flying out on a Tuesday to try to avoid this mess. What are some other ways that people can avoid travel delays if they can't fly out on a Tuesday?
Yeah, sure. So obviously you want to listen to any elder out there, listen to mom and dad, get to the airport early, but it's not just a suggestion, it's a must at this point because we don't know what airports and when they're going to be impacted. So if you can try to buffer in at least 2 hours before the time that you're looking to board or that it's suggested that you board, not the flight time, the boarding time. As well as if you have TSA pre-check, go ahead and try to sign up for TSA touchless ID. I know some of us are a little bit worried about using biometrics for our screening, but it is really going to be a game changer, and it could be the difference between making your flight and not making your flight. And it is a separate line that is in most major airports, including Atlanta. So we want people to take advantage of that, as well as trying to understand what security line in what terminal that you're flying out of is going to be the shortest. And the way to figure that out is not just by going on the airline's website to begin with, but also going to social media, typing in your airport as well as the terminal. A lot of times what we're seeing in these last few weeks is that travelers are taking to social media to actually just highlight what's going on. So boots on the ground in real time. As well as talking to any one of the airport staff that has a vest on. They're going to be as accommodating as possible and are understanding that travelers are stressed and are worried about missing their flight due to these longer security lines. So just asking one of them, as well as going on the My TSA app. Even though we're not seeing real-time updates there because of partial shutdown, it's not being updated and active, you can actually get day of the week historical data around the day you're looking to travel from that particular airport. And it should give you a rough idea of what to expect, even outside of just regular increased demand because of spring break. So it's a good sort of tool to use for pre-planning.
Thanks for sharing those resources, including the My TSA app. What should travelers know about Real ID and those requirements and the screening delays associated with that?
Yeah, anyone that is not carrying a real ID or something that can take its place, like a passport, passport card, global entry card, you want to make sure you're giving yourself even more time, but you're also taking the necessary steps to get your real ID fee online before going to the airport, because that's actually going to then increase the amount of time that you need to get processed, because you're going to have to do everything there. So making sure that you're going online and going to that real ID, getting your my TSA, or excuse me, TSA.com, and getting that payment paid up front before you arrive so you can actually get processed a little bit quicker.
Katie, thank you so much for joining us. Our time is winding down here. Any final thoughts you have for travelers or any final advice for travelers during this time?
Yeah, I think travelers should just prepare for the worst, meaning that you should be prepared to wait and as much time as you can. Even if you get through security quicker, you don't know when that line can start to add up. So you want to make sure that you're just giving yourself even more time, as well as just understanding that this minor disruption for you ahead of your spring break or your vacation is a minor disruption. It's a blip in the radar when we think about it, but it is a major life disruption for these TSA officers. So we just want to lead with compassion, even amongst a stressful time.
Katie, thank you so much for joining us and giving us tips on how to navigate this airport chaos that we're all experiencing across the nation. Thanks for joining us this afternoon.
Thanks so much.
Guys, and speaking of disruptions, we've talked about weather, and that weather is also causing some disruptions and chaos right here in the city of Atlanta. We saw some severe weather yesterday. Jonathan Stacy is here to talk about what's going to happen today.
And not so much today. We have clear skies out there, bright sunshine, but bitterly cold temperatures. We started out with a low temperature here in the city of 28 degrees, a wind chill of 21. We've made some progress, but the progress has been meager at best. As we take a look at the numbers across the metro area at this hour, the airport specifically coming in at 43 degrees, but you see a pretty steady wind coming in out of the northwest, and it's that northwesterly wind that's making the wind chill still a factor at this hour. 43 Stockbridge, 40 in Lawrenceville. Go up to Blairsville. You're finally starting to thaw out with a temperature of 34 degrees. By contrast, you've reached into the low to mid 40s down south in Thomaston at 43 degrees. The wind chill keeping most neighborhoods across the area, with the exception of Inkton, somewhere in the 20s and 30s. It feels like 37 degrees here in the city. Yeah, it looks great outside, but it does not feel so pleasant, and it certainly does not feel like we're in the final days of winter. Nonetheless, winter weather is decorated across the Appalachians at this hour as another Clipper system rolls over the Great Lakes, but it's a system a little bit farther up to the north that captures my attention because it may bring us a little something tomorrow. So the big question is a little of what? Well, high pressure is kicked out the way as it moves to the south, and I think it may be a little bit of a shower, nothing of a winter weather variety. We'll keep our eyes peeled for something, but I'm not even putting a rain chance on it. Just expect more clouds tomorrow than today. The same for Friday. Tonight, lows drop down to 31 degrees here in the city, 20s outside the perimeter. Some sunshine tomorrow, but more clouds than not. We should stay dry. If you get a shower, it does not last for long. A high of 56 degrees tomorrow will turn that to a 67-degree high temperature by Thursday.
All right. Just a cold day. I mean, I was talking to Judea earlier, and she was like, what they say is bone chilling. She said she felt it in her bones, and I agree with her. It's just pretty cold outside.
Yeah, it's gut wrenching over here.
Yes. So stay warm out there, guys. And, 60s is cold to me as well. So it sounds like I'm going to be needing a jacket on Thursday, too.
All right, bundle up.
Well, Jonathan, thank you so much for joining us to talk about weather today.
Indeed.
All right, guys, let's move on. We have some more news, and even we're going to be talking with a cosmetic dentist up next about World Oral Health Day. So you want to stay tuned for that. Your time is 1:19. We'll be right back. All right, guys, welcome back. World Oral Health Day is coming up. It's happening on Friday. So something that you should know there. New research is shedding light on a common gap in many people's daily routines, which is how we're actually brushing our teeth, especially at night. So experts say brushing your teeth at night can have a bigger impact on your overall health than you think. Our cosmetic dentist, Dr. Sharon Huang, joins us now to break this all down. Dr. Huang, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, so let's start with the research. What are we learning about how effective manual brushing really is?
Well, the research is actually really eye-opening. Research from 59 clinical studies is showing that a manual brush will leave about 50% of the plaque behind. And at night, it's extra concerning because we're sleeping for 8 hours and the bacteria just has an uninterrupted 8 hours to grow and multiply, especially along the areas along the gum, in between the teeth. That's why it's so important to brush with a power toothbrush.
A power toothbrush, and we're going to get into that and why it's important to do that. What are most people commonly missing or doing incorrectly when they're using that manual brush?
Well, a manual brush, you could never, it's never as powerful as a sonic toothbrush. A sonic toothbrush also has sonic fluid action. It drives the fluid in between the teeth. We're never able to brush as effectively manually as the sonic care.
And then let's go ahead and get into the electric toothbrush and how it benefits you, how it's more beneficial than the manual brush.
Yes, the Sonicare 6500, which is what we have here, is 1,000% more effective at removing plaque than your manual brush. It is powered by 62,000 bristle movements, and it also has this sonic fluid action, which was what I spoke about earlier. It drives the fluid deep in between the teeth and also along the gum line, which is where it's hard to reach for a manual brush. And you actually get to feel the care. And this is what I recommend in the office. It's actually the #1 sonic toothbrush recommended by dentists worldwide.
Now, so some people may not be able to afford the electric toothbrush. So what can they do, to make sure that they're cleaning their teeth well?
Well, brushing, flossing, and then brushing for 2 minutes. There are different levels of the Sonicare. If you go to Philips.com, there's a huge variety of Sonicare toothbrush, and the pricing is very different. So there's probably something that will work.
And can you talk about, why, again, it's so important for people to brush at night? It's important to brush, at least 3 times a day. We know that, but why nighttime?
Nighttime is especially important because we're asleep, and the saliva flow, which is our natural defense system, is offline. So whatever bacteria is left over is just growing and multiplying for 8 uninterrupted hours. That's why brushing with a sonic toothbrush at night is so important.
And to talk about the night switch experience for World Oral Health Day, what is it and how can people participate?
We are so excited for the night switch experience. We are actually bringing all of this research to life. We're showing the audience what is actually happening at night, and tips that we could offer to help combat what's happening at night.
Thank you so much for sharing more information about the night switch. One more question for you. Talk about how oral health is connected to your overall health.
Yes, 100%. Our mouth is the gateway to the body. The bacteria that's living in our mouth is linked to cardiovascular disease, stroke, diabetes, just overall inflammation and overall wellness. That's why it's so important to get this bacteria under control.
Thank you so much for sharing this information and the tips with us today, Dr. Huang. We hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much. And if you go to Philips.com, you will find the Sonicare 6500.
Thank you. There you have it, guys. Some more information on how you can improve your daily dental habits and a toothbrush that you can use, an electric toothbrush that you can use to help you in that process. All right, guys, their time is 1:26. We're going to talk about what's trending, the stories that you want to hear the most. That's coming up in just a few minutes. Welcome back, guys. Are you wearing your green today? It's St. Patrick's Day. I hope so, because you might get pinched, not by me, of course, but maybe by someone you're sitting next to. Many St. Patrick's Day celebrations are underway. We're going to take a live look at one happening in Cleveland, Ohio, guys. And you can see the people walking in that parade, some cars in line. Looks like a cold day out there, but a big holiday for people. It brings many people together, especially celebrating the Irish culture. So you can see them there in line, waving to attendees and patrons. And, just bringing joy to the area. A little background about St. Patrick's Day. If you don't know, the occasion celebrates St. Patrick, the patron saint of Ireland, and the observance has evolved into a celebration of all things Irish, including wearing your green. The tradition of wearing green for St. Patrick's Day is tied to folklore that says wearing green will make you invisible to leprechauns. And leprechauns like to pinch anyone they see. So if you're not wearing green, again, you might get pinched by someone. So make sure you have on your green today. We do know that Atlanta held a parade over the weekend, and we had a reporter out there who had a lot of fun and brought back some videos. Many people were just happy to celebrate this joyous occasion and also celebrate the Irish culture. So very important here. We've been seeing many states, many communities paint their towns green. And I love to see all the happiness, So enjoy your St. Patrick's Day. Don't get pinched. Make sure you wear green, guys. Coming up now, let's talk about the top stories that's trending on fox5atlanta.com. We're going to bring in our digital desk. Digital content creator Sam Daniel. He has some top stories there. Sam, first, let's talk about this very sad story coming out of Oconee County.
Yeah, it's really heartbreaking, Jasmine. It's about a grandfather who lost his life while trying to help his grandson. So this all happened Sunday night around 9:55 p.m., according to Georgia State Patrol. It happened on Atlanta Highway at Whitehead Road. And if you're not familiar with the area, that is in Bogart. So it's just outside of Athens where it turns into Atlanta Highway. So family members tell us Joe Carter Martin, who you see on your screen right now, responded to this area, went to this area to help his grandson whose car had stopped. He was on the side of the road helping, according to his daughter, Jennifer Martinez. Both his hazard lights were on, his grandson's hazard lights were on, but somehow an ambulance hit the cars hard enough to push them off the road. This killed Martin, unfortunately, and then sent his grandson, who his daughter tells us is 17-year-old Connor Schoon. He's a junior at Winder Barrow High School, to the hospital. Schoon has been dealing with a lot of internal bleeding, and he has been sent to Children's Healthcare of Atlanta to help deal with the internal bleeding. He's had to have some surgeries. He also has a broken left clavicle and lots of lacerations, but luckily the family tells us that he is stable. The only thing, and it just makes it so much more heartbreaking here, is that Jennifer Martinez, Schoon's mother, the daughter of the man who died, says that whenever Schoon wakes up and is conscious, he keeps asking where his grandfather is. So it's really sad.
Yes, this is a very sad story. I just hate to hear that this happened to this family, to this grandfather and this grandson, who, sadly may be traumatized for the rest of his life. Can we talk a little bit more about the situation, the ambulance? What was happening that, what was happening that led up to this, to them getting hit?
So the information we have is very limited from Georgia State Patrol,
Okay.
but they have not told us if the ambulance had its lights on or its sirens, if it was responding to anything. We just know that the ambulance hit the two cars. And
Okay.
GSP says they're investigating, and they said that charges are pending. So we don't know who the charges are pending against, why they're pending, what those charges are, anything. So we're hoping to learn more information. But this story is just heartbreaking. And last I checked, we were at like 15,000 views on this one story today from our website because it's so heartbreaking. This grandfather just responded to help his grandson, and now the family is having to plan a funeral while also being by their son's side to make sure that he recovers from his injuries.
Yes, my thoughts are definitely with the family here, and just hoping that the grandson recovers soon. He has a speedy recovery process there. Let's talk about this Waffle House event. There was a shooting there, to my understanding.
Yes, so this is an incident that had the makings of something that could have gone horribly wrong. Luckily, though, from what police are telling us, it hasn't been as bad as it could have been. So this happened on Saturday night in Cartersville. Police tell us that there were dozens of teens, not an exact amount, just dozens of teens outside of this Waffle House on Dixie Avenue. So they were there eating. Staff told our Denise Dillon last night that they served all the teens their meals. They went outside to kind of just take a break, and that's when things got crazy. So according to the staff, a fight broke out somewhere on this Waffle House grounds, and the teens then went outside. And at that point, according to police, some guns came out. There were multiple people with guns, and multiple people started shooting during this fight. So at least 2 vehicles were hit with bullets, but luckily no person was shot. The workers told Denise, though, that one of the people had literally just parked their car and gone inside the Waffle House, and it barely missed him, because if he'd still been in that car, the bullet would have gone into his car and hit him. So right now, no arrests have been made, but there are apparently lots of surveillance videos in this area that police are combing through to try and find out how many people there are, who all did it, that kind of information, and then press charges from there.
Very interesting here. I'm glad that nobody was hurt in this incident. I wonder if this is similar to those teen takeover events. Have officials said anything? Have compared the two?
So they have not linked this to any sort of teen takeover.
Okay.
But this is not also, we've had several instances at things happening in Waffle Houses over the past few months. I remember at one point there were some teenagers who had traveled to Cobb County from out of the area and ended up going over the counter and allegedly attacking one of the workers. So this is just something that happens at Waffle Houses sometimes, unfortunately, and police are telling us that they're investigating it. And they didn't say exactly what time it broke out, but according to Denise, it was late on Saturday night.
Okay. Very interesting there, and very sad to hear that this is happening at Waffle Houses, that incidents are happening at Waffle Houses, because I know those places stay open late, 24
They're
hours.
open 24/7, and
Yeah,
I mean, I
24/7.
love a Waffle House. Listen, I'm there all the time.
Oh my
So
goodness.
like a 2 a.m. waffle, there's nothing like it.
I probably eat there like 3 to 4 times a year, but
Okay, well, I'm there a little bit more than that. We don't need to talk about it though.
but anyways, I hope that officials are able to just get the situations there under control. Because our people who go to Waffle House, like you, and the people who work there need to be safe, need to feel safe. Let's get into something a little lighter here. Georgians expected to get a one-time tax rebate. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so it's some good news. Most Georgians, not all Georgians, are going to get some money back in their wallet. Maybe you could use it to go to Waffle House if you want to. It's actually a lot of money. So the Senate just approved Governor Kemp's plan for tax rebates. This is similar. There were some last year. I believe there were some in previous years as well. And now it's headed to Kemp's desk. If he signs it, which we think he will because this was his idea, single filers will get a one-time $250 payment. Heads of households will get a one-time $375 payment. And then married couples will receive $500 in a one-time payment. These will be sent to you in the same way you get your tax refund. So if you get direct deposit, this money will be direct deposited into your account. If you get a check, it will be mailed to you. We don't have a timeline yet on when we expect those checks to go out. Last year, I want to say it was June or July when they started hitting, so it would probably be about the same time this year. Now, one note though, to qualify for this, you have to have filed taxes, state income taxes, in 2024 and 2025. So if you've not filed those 2 years, you will not get this check. You don't qualify. So for most Georgians, that's why I'm saying most, you will be getting either $250, $375, or $500. But if you're new to the state or haven't filed state income tax returns in the past couple of years, you will not be getting those refunds.
Well, it's good news for some Georgians that they'll be getting this tax rebate. Some people have been wondering if Governor Kemp is going to do anything about gas prices. Have we seen any updates from him on that?
We have not gotten anything from him on the gas tax so far. He's mentioned it. He's done it before multiple times, especially the last time I remember was, which hurricane was it? I can't think of the name off the top of my head.
Was
but
it
he got rid of I believe so,
It might
yes.
have been Helene.
And so he got rid of the gas tax then, but we've not heard it brought up again, even though several lawmakers are saying that they would like the governor to do that. So we will see if he moves forward with that.
Yep, we will see. But in the meantime, guys, just enjoy the one-time tax rebate if you qualify. Sam,
$500 is a lot.
Yeah, that's for married couples. The single people don't get 500, but hey, you get something if you qualify. Thank you so much, Sam, for joining us to talk about what's trending on fox5atlanta.com. All right, guys, moving forward now. Let's see here. We'll have some more stories actually on the other side of the break. We'll be looking at a museum, an automobile museum. So you don't want to miss that. Welcome back, guys. Do you like cars? You're going to like this story. So Cartersville is home to the Savoy Automobile Museum, and it's showing off some of the coolest cars around. There's even a new Corvette exhibit there. And so our Chris Rosenthal, he is going to give us a sneak peek at this. Hey, Chris, a pretty cool story that you're covering this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love cars, and man, I'd love to take one of these home. These are some 55 Corvettes here, beautiful cars here, and I'm going to find out all about it here with my friend here, Mary Agrusa. She is with the Savoy Automobile Museum. She knows all things. I'm a little tongue-tied today. She knows all things automobiles, and tell me a little bit about this beautiful pair we have.
Well, these are the last two of the run in 1955. They did 700 in total. On the left is number 699. On the right is number 700. Through a series of events, they both wound up being owned by the same person who owned them for 61 years. When he died, he gave them to his daughter. His daughter has since sold them to Greg White up in Somerville, Georgia. So if you are looking for a pair of of cool 55s, please get a hold of Greg. They are for sale.
I might have to think about that there.
Hey, I mean, just whip out that checkbook, Chris.
I'll see if I can make that my new news vehicle. I'll talk to the bosses there.
Okay, I mean, we already sold this one for him, so this is the 63 split window.
Stingray.
Stingray, my favorite Corvette of all. Loved this design. It was really radical when it came out in '63. Nothing else was like it. Really proved its mettle on the racetrack. It was a very formidable car. We had the race version over there from the Corvette Museum. It wasn't until Shelby came out with the Cobra that there was a real contender that could put up, could really give the Corvette a run for its money.
Wow, and '63, this is 10 years into the birth of it.
10 years into it. What we have down here is a 57. This one is ours. It's been completely restored. This is a factory original color. But we were talking earlier, this reminds me of the TV show Route 66. And Buzz and Todd, who drove around the country in a Corvette, didn't have jobs, but were solving the problems of the world that all my brother and I cared about as we got to see the car. My mother probably went nuts with the pretty lame storyline of the TV show. But this is a beautiful, beautiful car. Again, completely restored, but shows you a little bit of the evolution from the 55. It's now changed a little bit. The back end is rounder. They've molded in the tail lights. Of course, that's the cove side that goes to it. So just was sort of like the iteration as they're working their way out to coming up to the Stingray. So this but the last edition before the Stingray came out.
And I love that two-tone there. That's kind of what we think about when we think of Corvette, huh?
Yeah, very much. And there were a number of options that you could get when it was color-wise. So yeah, beautiful. Again, another one of my favorites of the Corvettes between this and the Stingray probably are my two top favorites of the cars.
Let's go make our way over to that silver one back there that's really special. And while we walk over, we'll talk about, you got a special one coming this weekend, huh?
Yeah, it might even be in the back of the building. I haven't seen if it has arrived yet. We have a 53 that was completely restored. I believe it's number 129, somewhere in and around there. And that is going to be unveiled on Saturday night. We have a special program for Corvettes. Ken Gross will be down here. And we are going to actually unveil the car and let people see it for the first time now that it's back home. And
you can see it for about, in about a week, you come back here, you can see it on the floor. So we got about 45 seconds left. Real quick on this one here.
Okay, this is the split window. This is the Stingray Racer. This is the genesis of what became the Corvette Stingray. This was built by Bill Mitchell. It was his personal race car, but if you look at the lines on it, you can see the makings of the Stingray. In fact, when this was built, they also built the first prototype of what was going to become the Stingray. So GM considers this probably one of their most valuable cars. And I just heard they said that if the building is on fire, this is the one that they will pull out to save.
Wow, this one usually stays up at GM.
Yeah, at the Heritage Center, yes.
Wow, this is
It's
beautiful. It's
magnificent.
1959.
59. So think of that, 1959 and the styling, where they were coming from in 59. And of course, Through this, we got the Corvette Stingray.
And 290, I'm reading here, 290 horsepower. That's fast even by today's standards.
Well, now this only has a 283. At one time, they had a 396 in it. This has gone through several evolutions of engines and transmissions because of the way it was used. But to have a 396 in this, oh my word, that thing would scream.
Awesome. Well, Mary, thanks for showing me this. We'll stick around this afternoon and take a look at some more cars here. There are other exhibits here as well, and that you can come see. The Ferrari exhibits here for about another week, and the Corvettes are here until May, right?
End of May.
End of May. So up here in Cartersville at the Savoy Museum, just really, really beautiful stuff, and you know, maybe take home a Corvette or two.
Or two. We have two.
Take home a Corvette. Tom, you know, those are some very nice cars. I like that they're showing off these cars from decades ago.
Yeah, Chris, I'm thinking kid in a candy store when I see all those beautiful shiny Corvettes in there.
Yeah, it's like Hot Wheels comes to life. You know, that's kind of how this feels to me.
All right. Thank you so much, Chris, for joining us.
And I love the analogy, Chris, thanks, of the one that he said, if the building's on fire, that's the one we save.
Oh.
Gives you an idea of which automobile in there, although all of them, there it is, are the most valuable. Jasmine, I got a question for you.
Okay, I'm ready.
Are you a good budgeter? In other words, do you kind of watch what you spend and where you spend it?
I could be better.
Okay.
You know, I do a little bit. We actually talked to a financial expert earlier.
Well, because there's a trend going around right now where people, you know, who are budget oriented are coming up with cash only weekends. What do I mean by that? I mean, they put away the credit cards, they set aside $100 or $200 for the weekend, and like, this is all I'm going to spend to help them, you know, save money, budget money, be a little more disciplined, and so that they have no option to pull out the credit card to overspend on maybe something they can't afford. So tonight at 7 o'clock on The Pulse, which you can stream right here on Fox Local or watch on Fox 5 Atlanta at 7 o'clock, we're going to talk about if we would participate in something like that, this new trend, cash only weekends, Jasmine.
Right. That's
tonight at 7 o'clock. So we'll see you then on The Pulse.
Very interesting conversation and something that I need to listen to as well. Cash only
don't
weekends.
all of us, right?
Well, thank you, Tom, for joining us and talking about what's going to be on The Pulse tonight at 7. Y'all, make sure you watch. Okay, guys, let's go ahead and move forward. We have a fun story. It's chilly outside, as you know, but spring is in the air and in the kitchen at a popular Brookhaven gastropub. The team at Confab Kitchen and Bar says its menu is built around locally sourced ingredients. That sounds good, Tom.
Stick a run for that.
Fox 5's Paul Milliken takes us inside.
Well, it is St. Patrick's Day, and that means it'll be a busy night for restaurants all across the world, but of course here in Metro Atlanta as well. And in Brookhaven, I think a lot of people are going to be stopping by Confab Kitchen and Bar. They're doing a little celebration this evening, but it's always a party around here with a menu like this. The food is so good. So first of all, Doug, I just want you to confirm to our viewers, I have not eaten my way through your entire kitchen. You still have food left over, right?
We have a little bit left over.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that. This will be gone very soon, though. Let's talk about Confab Kitchen and Bar. You've been open not even a year, right?
Yeah, not even a year. We opened in July last year.
Yeah, and so what was your vision for this place? What did you want to create with Confab Kitchen and Bar?
Just a polished, upscale neighborhood eatery.
Yeah.
You know? That was the whole, that's the best way I can describe it.
Well, and it speaks to the name. So for folks that don't know, what does Confab mean?
It means conversation, like casual chatting like we're doing right now.
Yeah, and so I really feel like it's a cool mix of you've got this elevated menu that's really beautiful, great dishes, and then a super cool casual atmosphere in here.
Yeah, thank you. That's what we're going for.
Yeah, love that. And something else that's cool too is that you guys have a real focus on keeping things seasonal and fresh, and that means you can roll out new things on the menu, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so who is the guy that's back there doing all the cooking?
He's not even back there. He's right there.
He's right here, yeah, the executive chef. If you would introduce yourself.
My name is Matt Meacham.
Matt, it's great to see you. And you've been here for about a month or going on a month now. Coming into this restaurant here, what is your sort of vision for the cuisine?
My vision is, we do a lot of guests here. We do pretty high volume, so I want to keep it simple and executable, and I want identifiable flavors on the plate, and I want it to be attractive, but I want it to get straight to the point.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get straight to the point and talk about some of this food. And we got to start. I told you, these mussels, man, they are killer.
Well, I appreciate that. You know, it's I think oftentimes the best food is produced from just sourcing great ingredients and treating them properly.
Yeah.
You know, those mussels right there it's 1 pound of icy blue mussels from Nova Scotia. We steam those until they're open. We remove them from the pan, and then we simply return the sauce to the pan and finish it so that we don't overcook those mussels and turn them into rubber for you. Right? And then just a simple butter sauce preparation with some white wine, herbs, a little bit of chili flake, and of course the toasted bread to sop up that sauce at the end.
Well, it's funny you just say that because I told you before. I mean, I love any kind of food from the water, you know, but mussels I probably wouldn't typically order because I think in the past I've had them and they've been a little chewy. These are not that at all. They are so tender.
No, I think it just comes down to technique and making sure that you're paying attention to the details, because I think that something that's great and worthwhile is many small things done well.
Yeah, well, those certainly are. Okay, let's move on. Talk about the steak frites here.
So the steak frites is a really great piece of meat. We're currently using a hanger steak that I source from inland seafood, which means we get it, it's meats by Lynn's. Okay, so it's a really, really, really great product.
Yeah.
And then we're going to serve that with house-made pommes frites with a little bit of house-made spice blend, some Parmesan, rosemary, and garlic oil. And then we top the steak off with our 5-hour caramelized onions, an acidic and herbaceous chermoulade sauce, and a really basic veal jus.
Yeah, so this sauce that's on it right here, what are some of the flavors you might get from that?
So we're going to have cilantro, parsley, a little bit of thyme in there, as well as a lot of garlic, some peppers, shallots, and extra virgin olive oil and vinegar.
All right, sounds amazing. This was kind of shocking to me because I thought this was some sort of a steak dish coming out. That's vegetarian, right?
That is a vegetarian dish, certainly not vegan. It's going to contain a pretty friendly amount of butter in it.
You're speaking my language, my friend.
But those pastas are made in-house. I make the dough myself. You know, it's a really simple ricotta filling. With a lot of herbs and lemon zest in there, so it's nice and bright and flavorful. And the mushrooms on top, which are going to give it that beefy kind of steaky look that I think you're talking about, are locally sourced mushrooms. We are partnered with Georgia Grown, so we're using locally foraged mushrooms for that. And finishing it off with a simple pan sauce or beurre monte.
Yeah, I love mushrooms, so I can't wait to try it. And last but not least,
that's going to be the lamb meatball albondigas. So we get a great ground lamb. We fold it, we make it in the traditional Mexican style preparation. Then we serve it inside of a warm romesco sauce. We melt some grated manchego cheese over the top and some Marcona almonds that we've toasted and ground.
Oh man, this all looks incredible. So hold on a second, Doug, come back. Now look, you proved yourself earlier as a superb mic holder. I thought your skills holding the microphone rivaled even mine. Okay, so I know, and that's high praise. So if you'll hold that, please.
Absolutely.
I'm going into the steak right here because this hanger steak looks amazing. Oh yeah, and it is cooked exactly like I like it, chef. So let me get some of that sauce on there and those onions too. Okay, I just need a moment to just thank the universe for bringing me here in my life to this moment. High five to you, my friend. That is so good. High five over here to Confab Kitchen and Bar is the place to be St. Patrick's Day and every other day out of the year. I'm going to eat more. Leave me alone.
All right, Paul, we'll leave you alone there. But make sure you save a little bit of food for me because I'm hungry. Confab Kitchen, guys, in Brookhaven there. You just heard from the chef and owner. Looks very good. And they're making me hungry. So I'm going to go ahead and go and let Ariel Onstadt join you for 2 p.m. Thanks for joining us today. We'll see you in just a few minutes.
Welcome in, everyone. Thanks so much for your patience. I'm Ariel Onstadt. We've got a busy day of news to get to here at 2 o'clock. We're going to talk about everything happening locally, nationally. And one of the first stories we want to talk about locally involves your safety and how Atlanta's firefighters are getting paid on the job. Our Angelique Proctor has been speaking with Atlanta's Firefighters Union. And Angelique, I understand there's been a bit of a disagreement over collective bargaining with the city, but it sounds like there's a major update today.
There absolutely is. Good afternoon to you and all of our viewers. The Atlanta Firefighters Union said they did everything possible to avoid the position that they're in now, but basically what has happened today is that they have filed suit against the city of Atlanta and Mayor Andre Dickens over this collective bargaining agreement. Now, the president of the International Association of Firefighters 134 says that was filed today in Fulton County Superior Court. This was a very historic, very first ever collective bargaining agreement. It was actually ratified and voted on by Atlanta City Council by a vote of 14-0. And the union went on to tell us that the city started following it. Both sides were following this collective bargaining agreement for some 6 months. And then they say when they decided to file a grievance at the end of last year, the fire chief told them that, in fact, that collective bargaining agreement was not valid and that their grievance could not move forward. And that's when everything broke down. Let's take a listen.
We were hoping that it would not come to this, but after we negotiated that contract, the city council, the fire chief issued it to all firefighters, and we operated under that agreement for approximately 6 months. When we used the contract to file a grievance on something in the contract, that's when the city said that it wasn't valid. And we've been trying to work with the mayor's office to get a signature for months, even dropping off multiple copies. And then today we had to file the lawsuit to try to enforce that agreement. Unfortunately, it has come to that. And our goal is to get Mayor Dickens to sign the contract so we can get back to business and working together.
Now, the union says the big sticking point is a 14-day pay period. They said that was in that collective bargaining agreement. That's what their grievance was about, and that is when the city pulled away. Now, they don't take filing this lawsuit lightly. They say they actually met with about 100 firefighters over the weekend on Saturday, and that many of those firefighters at that time said that because of what's happening, that they felt disrespected and devalued by the city, and they decided to go ahead and move forward. Now, how many firefighters are we talking about? Well, the union tells me that we have about 900 firefighters in Atlanta. 740 of them are members of this union, but that collective bargaining agreement covers every firefighter in the city of Atlanta. You might be wondering, how will this affect me? What will I see differently? The firefighters will continue to respond to fires. You won't really notice, but the city and the firefighters will be in court. Now, take a listen now as they talk about why they want to be paid twice a month.
The main issue that we missed out on, and it was really the only big ask in the contract, was a 14-day pay cycle. Currently, Atlanta firefighters are on a 28-day pay cycle, and it can be very confusing for them to even understand their paychecks. And there's even been some news stories in the past where we've had to make demand letters from attorneys to the city to mediate multiple grievances related to the pay cycle and the paychecks. And in our negotiations, both the city and us agreed that switching to a 14-day pay cycle would benefit both parties. So after the contract was put into effect and we started honoring other parts of it, the one part that wasn't honored was the 14-day pay cycle. So we filed a grievance using the language in the collective bargaining agreement. And when it got to the last stage, on that date, that's when the city said that they didn't believe the contract was valid. So we want the 14-day pay cycle. It's in the collective bargaining agreement. And ultimately, the city should honor the entire agreement since they agreed to it and it was ratified.
And so we have reached out to Mayor Andre Dickens' office. We understand they are working on the statement. We don't have that yet, but we are eager to hear what they have to say about all of this. Ariel?
Angelique, absolutely interested in understanding how the city is going to respond and what they want to do moving forward. Really quickly before I let you go, curious, why was the lawsuit an option as opposed to, say, going on strike? What's the difference here for those who are kind of in the dark about something like this?
Well, going on strike would certainly be a very dramatic move, and that would affect everyone's public safety very immediately. And so they probably didn't want to do anything as drastic as that. So they decided to file this lawsuit in court to have attorneys for both sides come to the table, since they claim that they couldn't get the mayor to sign this contract after presenting it to him on several occasions.
Angelique, thanks so much for keeping us in the loop. No doubt you'll continue to keep us updated as this process moves through this legal system. Appreciate your reporting this afternoon. I'll let you get back to it. As we continue here at 2 o'clock, guys, I want to let you know we're following some breaking news. Don't have video or much information right now, but I want to let you know that there is an active shooter incident underway in Jasper, Georgia. Law enforcement is on the scene at the VA there, the Veterans Affairs Building in Jasper. We know that more information is going to be coming soon via social media. This is according to the Pickens County Sheriff's Office. This is all we know right now, and as I get any new information, we're going to let you know what we are learning. But the Sheriff's Office has told us that they're going to be sending out a location for media staging soon, which does tell us that this is a pretty significant situation, and they will be briefing members of the media about what is happening upcoming. So as soon as we get a shot there and we get more information, we'll put it up to you here live. In the meantime, let's switch gears here because I want to talk about something that continues to affect people who are traveling amid the government shutdown and with the severe weather we've been facing recently, and that is the ongoing situation at Atlanta's airport. We saw long waits continue Tuesday morning here at the airport, and this is as you take a live look outside. You can see the runways look calm, no major issues, but our Tyler Finger's been keeping us up to date as to what we have been seeing at Hartsfield-Jackson International, and especially amid the government shutdown, Tyler, I'd imagine a lot of TSA agents aren't working, making the situation rather complicated.
Yeah, Ariel, good afternoon to you. Atlanta's international terminal was overwhelmed this morning as people and travelers were looking for the shortest security checkpoint. So basically, a lot of folks were coming from the domestic terminal over to the international terminal trying to go through this security checkpoint here. In fact, this entire area, all of these lines were filled with people, and it was so bad, in fact, as we pull out this way and pan around, they had travelers going all the way down to the other end of the international terminal. The wait here, according to one passenger, at least 2 hours. Officially, according to the airport, the wait was somewhere between 90 minutes and the 2-hour mark, but people waiting in line for a very long time to get through security. And it wasn't just here on the international side, it was also on the domestic side. I want to show you that video. Hopefully you're looking at it. You can just see so many people here in the international terminal just trying to get through the security checkpoint. Some told us, as I said, they waited more than 2 hours just to get through security. This obviously caused a lot of travel headaches today, and this all comes during the partial government shutdown. Right now, TSA officers are working without pay, and their union says some are being forced to make tough choices, including calling out just to make ends meet. This is now the second time TSA officers have worked without pay in less than 6 months. The call-outs led to closed security checkpoints at Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport, and the ones open are stretched to the limit with long lines. Travelers looking for any way to beat the bottleneck at the domestic terminal took shuttles from one side to the other, but they quickly learned the lines weren't any better. Airport operations begged travelers to take buses back to the domestic terminal because the lines were shorter over there. Right now, here at the international terminal, the line about 15 minutes according to the airport, probably less than that just looking at it from here. On the domestic side, we're looking at lines somewhere between 45 minutes to an hour. So they have leveled off back on this side, and now a lot more people are going through the domestic terminal, which is really what the airport was stressing. They were saying, if you have an international flight, yes, come to the international terminal. But if you have a domestic flight, they are telling people to go to the domestic terminal because they have more checkpoints over there and more security officers ready to screen passengers. Obviously, this was a frustrating morning for people trying to get out. Long waits, another day, 2 hours this morning, and the international terminal, again, a lot better. But take a listen to what travelers were telling us when we came here at about 10 o'clock this morning.
We actually had a connection, but there was no people to do the TSA from the international flight to the domestic.
A lot of delays and flights getting canceled. Been here for about 2.5 hours, and so gonna end up just staying at a hotel.
I waited about 20 minutes for a shuttle. Probably shouldn't have done that because then I got here and I couldn't get in the doors. It was just like mass chaos. I couldn't find the end of the line.
Yeah, I mean, when we got here at about 10 o'clock, we could just see lines going every which direction. Airport operations had set up these makeshift stands pretty much going throughout the entire international terminal to be able to try to keep some order to the line. But it was obviously overwhelming for a terminal that does not normally get this amount of people going through the security checkpoints. I'll tell you, the airline CEOs are urging Congress, both sides, to come together and reach a deal to make sure that these TSA officers can get paid and so they can end this partial government shutdown. Again, more than 30 days so far, these TSA officers have been working without pay. Obviously, they're going to get back pay at some point once the government does reopen. But for now, many are having to deal with the fact that they need to pay their bills. They need to be able to pay their car payments and everything else, put food on the table. So some, according to the union, are being forced to not show up to work. They're calling out so that they can pick up other jobs to be able to do what they need to do. Airline CEOs are calling on this to end, as I mentioned. We know that that includes Delta's CEO, Ed Bastian. Obviously, this is impacting travel throughout the country. We know a lot of different airports are dealing with this, places like Austin, other ones in Texas as well, Dallas and Houston, not just Atlanta. It's unfortunately lots of people calling out. I can tell you, we do know, I want to mention, there are a number of cancellations and delays here at Hartsfield today, 500 delays roughly, and somewhere around 225 cancellations. And I have to say it every time, sound like a broken record. Airport officials are urging anyone traveling that you need to get here early. They say 3 hours is your best bet.
Tyler, good to know and nice to have an understanding as to where the airport stands this afternoon. You know, sometimes we think, oh, maybe we're going to find a quicker line over here. But then if everyone has the same idea, it doesn't always work out like that. So good to give ourselves plenty of time and to go to the terminal or line corresponding with whether or not we're international or domestic. So Tyler Fingert, thanks so much for the update. As we continue, I want to let you guys know where we stand to fund the Department of Homeland Security. As Tyler mentioned, it's been a couple weeks now that the department has not been fully funded. And one thing to keep in mind as we take a look at this is that there's still been no movement from Congress as to funding fully the Department of Homeland Security. It's been since February 14th that congressional Democrats have refused to approve the DHS budget because they want Republicans to agree to immigration reforms for agents with Customs and Border Patrol as well as ICE. That means essential workers, though, at TSA, FEMA, the Coast Guard, and Secret Service are all showing up to work without pay because these are the agencies not funded under the Department of Homeland Security umbrella. ICE and Customs and Border Patrol are funded through the Big Beautiful Bill, which passed last year. And besides no funding, DHS also has no leader. President Trump fired former Secretary Kristi Noem March 5th. Nominee Oklahoma Senator Markwayne Mullin has his confirmation hearing Wednesday, tomorrow, before the Senate, and he's certainly going to face questions about the fate of TSA agents. It's the second time in 4 months they've had to work with no pay. So we'll keep you updated on that situation tomorrow with the confirmation hearing. In the meantime, I want to let you know that a senior official within the Trump administration, the director of National Counterterrorism Center, Joe Kent, has resigned over the United States war with Iran. You're seeing video there of him. But in his resignation letter to President Trump, Kent wrote, quote, "I cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war in Iran. Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation, and it's clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby," end quote. Now, Kent's position is a top 5 intelligence community post in any administration. National Counterterrorism Center functions under the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, and reports directly to her as the #1 intelligence official. Kent is a veteran who deployed to combat 11 times. His wife, Shannon, was killed in action in a 2019 bombing in Syria. Here's how the president's responding to this resignation from the White House today.
Safe, and I always thought he was a nice guy, but I always thought he was weak on security, very weak on security. I didn't know him well, but I thought he seemed like a pretty nice guy. But when I read his statement, I realized that it's a good thing that he's out, because he said that Iran was not a threat. Iran was a threat. Every country realized what a threat Iran was. The question is whether or not they wanted to do something about it. And many people, many of the greatest military scholars are saying for years that presidents should have taken out Iran because they wanted a nuclear weapon.
So as we continue, we'll keep you updated on this situation, but I want to let you know where we stand with the war with Iran, what the latest information is there, because as of now, a lot of United States key allies are rejecting the president's calls to protect the Strait of Hormuz. Let's talk about the latest with the war, because America and Israel have been attacking targets in Iran still, and those attacks continue to intensify. Today, Israeli airstrikes took out dozens of top Iranian officials, including Ali Larijani. He was the secretary of the Supreme National Security Council. And with the new supreme leader of Iran remaining sidelined because of injuries in a strike, Larijani was considered by many to be the de facto leader of Iran. So this does deal a blow to the regime, and U.S. leaders say more strikes on Iranian leaders will be coming. But Iran is responding with attacks throughout the Middle East. Millions of Israelis spent the night in bomb shelters. And on Tuesday, an Iranian military spokesperson delivered a direct challenge to the president, President Trump, in English, saying these attacks are going to continue. There are also reports that the U.S. and Iranian diplomats are now communicating directly for the first time since the start of the war, raising some hopes for a peaceful settlement. President Trump says the strikes are going to continue as long as Iran poses a threat, but the fight against Iranian proxy groups is also escalating, with Israeli forces pushing deeper into southern Lebanon against Hezbollah. As we continue to look at this, we're going to keep you updated on that, because Hezbollah does have targets there in southern Lebanon, and this is something that we're seeing as this war continues to expand in the Middle East. But in the meantime, President Trump says that NATO and other key U.S. allies have rejected his calls to help guarantee the Strait of Hormuz's safety. Let's listen to what the president said earlier today about it.
Well, I'm disappointed in NATO that we spend trillions of dollars on NATO. Think of it, trillions over the years, many trillions of dollars. It's one of the reasons we have deficits and we help other countries. And when they don't help us, I mean, it's certainly something that we should think about. I don't need Congress for that decision. As you probably know, I can make that decision myself. I'd work with some very smart people. And I'd always deal with Congress anyway, but I don't need Congress for that decision. But, you know, when you say rethink, I have nothing currently in mind, but I will say that I'm not exactly thrilled when we help them with Ukraine.
Well, we'll keep you updated there, because the president says he's not happy with NATO and these other allies, but as to what action he'll take, that remains to be seen. But the Trump administration is threatening action against broadcasters here in the United States amid the Iran war. The message is drawing criticism, though, from Republicans and Democrats. So there does seem to be a bit of a bipartisan pushback because of this message. The battle is over broadcasters and their messaging with the war. On Saturday, FCC Chair Brendan Carr warned broadcasters that they could lose their licenses for running what the agency considers, quote, fake news news over the Iran conflict. In a post on X, Carr wrote they, quote, have a chance to correct course before their license renewals come up. President Trump later endorsed the warning on Truth Social, but he's facing pushback from lawmakers in his own party who say they're not in favor of government interference with free speech. For example, Republican Senator Ron Johnson from Wisconsin says he doesn't like the heavy hand of government no matter who's wielding it, saying that the federal government should stay out of the private sector as much as possible. In a letter, Democratic Senator Ed Markey went one step further and calling for Carr to resign, writing, quote, the FCC's credibility depends on its willingness to exercise its authority on the merits, not at the direction of the president, end quote. Now, Carr says there are no immediate efforts to reassess licenses, but there are ongoing investigations that could serve as a reason for early renewal, including one looking at equal time rules for interviews with political candidates. While the FCC does not license national networks, it does license local stations that carry their programming. And as we take a look at the ongoing situation in the Middle East, we would be remiss if we didn't also look at what is unfolding in Cuba and in Latin America right now, because Cuba is facing a dangerous energy crisis, in part triggered by the United States because the White House has disrupted Cuba's oil supplies from Venezuela after the United States captured former Venezuelan leader and dictator Nicolas Maduro. Now, Monday, Cuba's power grid collapsed, plunging 11 million people into darkness. U.S. and Cuban officials are discussing a solution. President Trump isn't holding back his true desire, which would be, as he has said, a, quote, friendly takeover of Cuba. Today, he said that we will be doing something with Cuba really soon. According to the New York Times, the Trump administration has made clear to the Cubans that no meaningful progress can be made until Cuba's president, Miguel Diaz-Canel, is removed from power. To help its economic situation, Cuba's government is now moving to allow Cubans living abroad to invest in private businesses in their home country. A bit of a rare move as they try to stabilize the economy there. Coming up, you guys, we've got a lot more still ahead. I want to talk about the weather here at home. We've got some breaking news from Alec Forbes, who's going to tell us about a tornado coming up that is being confirmed. I also want to tell you about some local headlines. We're following a tragic story out of Oconee County with a grandson and his grandfather. I also want to let you know about Atlanta police looking for a person of interest. That's straight ahead. Welcome in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstad here with meteorologist Alex Forbes. And Alex, I understand you've gotten some breaking news about a tornado confirmation.
That's right. The National Weather Service out this morning looking at some damage in parts of DeKalb County, and we have now confirmed an EF0 tornado from early Monday morning. Winds of 75 miles an hour. This was just to the southwest of Stonecrest Mall, down 155 Panola Road, Thompson Mill Road, that area. It snapped a couple of trees, also took some shingles off of roofs, and that was about it. So that's what you get whenever you're looking at an EF0 tornado. It was on the ground for 2.7 miles. And as you see there, sporadic tree and roof damage. Now, the National Weather Service also has survey teams out right now in Upson County and in Bibb County. Now, I can tell you this DeKalb tornado and the potential Upson tornado, meteorologist Joanne Feldman and I were tracking live on Good Day Atlanta. This happened during the 6 o'clock hour. The potential Upson tornado happened during the 7 o'clock hour. So we're waiting for confirmation on that one. We hope to have it later on this evening. How about this? On the flip side, it's 44 in Atlanta right now, 40 in Canton, 40 in Gainesville, 44 in Athens. We went from 80s last week to a wind chill of 21. 2-1 in Atlanta this morning. You look at these numbers compared to this time yesterday. Believe it or not, it's actually warmer now in Atlanta because the cooler air had arrived by this time yesterday, just 24 hours ago. 4 degrees warmer in Canton, 3 degrees cooler over in Gainesville at this hour. It is St. Patrick's Day. Looking for 48 as a high temperature this afternoon. Now, mind you, our average high temperature is 66, so we're well below that mark, but we will be back up to it by the time we get, really, it's going to be later in the week. But for the remainder of the afternoon, hanging on to a bit of a wind chill as well. No, I don't think there will actually be shamrocks flying in the sky, but hey, why not? Let's throw that on there for fun. And if you find yourself maybe in Northwest Georgia, you're going to have shamrocks flying over you there. No, not really. But a mostly clear day and evening tonight. That's going to allow temperatures to cool. Notice you get that system kind of around us tomorrow. I don't have a chance of rain for Atlanta because I think we stay dry. And I honestly think we stay dry here through the remainder of the week. I know you saw a little blip there on Thursday. We'll monitor the blip, but I'm not really anticipating much of a rain chance. In fact, completely dry here over the next several days, including on Friday, which is the first day of spring, and we will be warming back up. 75 there on Friday, 21 Saturday, 83 Sunday. So likewise, we just talked about going from 80s to 20s. We're going to go from 20s to 80s here over the course of the week ahead. So you add in the pollen, it's just like whiplash here in Georgia.
Alex, you know, I don't feel I usually get allergies, but last year and this year, I mean, I'm starting to notice the itchy ears, the feeling like particles are in my eyes, not comfortable. So definitely going to be monitoring in the days ahead, especially as it gets so much warmer. So thanks so much, Alex. As we continue, I want to let you guys know about a tragic story we're following out of Oconee County. A grandfather from Monroe is dead, and his grandson is in the hospital. They were involved in an overnight crash, and this happened Sunday night on Atlanta Highway, just east of Whitehead Road in Oconee County. Investigators say John Carter Martin had stopped along the highway to help a person with a disabled Toyota Camry. Family members tell us the driver was Martin's 17-year-old grandson, Connor Schoon. He's a Winder Barrow High School junior. Martin and Schoon were working on the car when an oncoming ambulance struck that car, pinning them both underneath. Martin died on the scene. Medics rushed the teenager to the hospital with serious injuries. Now, according to Schoon's mother, she said that Connor told her both he and his grandfather had their hazard lights on and had pulled over far enough so that traffic could pass. The grandson has been transferred to Arthur and Blank Children's Hospital in Atlanta, where he underwent surgery to help control his bleeding. Now, the mother says her son has suffered internal bleeding, a broken left clavicle, and multiple lacerations, but is stable. The Georgia State Highway Patrol is investigating this crash. We're not sure whether or not anyone will be charged, but we'll let you know as soon as we get any new information. I also want to let you know that Atlanta police are searching for a person of interest and what's been called a cold-blooded murder on Coleman Street last month. They've identified Marquavius Henry as this person of interest. The murder happened back in February, and 21-year-old Travalis Tolbert Jr. was killed. Investigators say Tolbert was shot and killed inside of his home in the Pittsburgh neighborhood just before 3 p.m. And authorities are now asking the public's help to locate Marquavius Henry for questioning. They're trying to get more information as to what led up to this shooting. Police haven't released released a motive, though, or confirmed if Henry and Tolbert knew each other. So we'll keep you updated as we get any new information there. But if you know of anything, give Atlanta police a call. You can remain anonymous. And finally here, I want to let you guys know that multiple fundraisers are present now for the victims of that triple shooting in downtown Athens. Community members are rallying behind the victims of this shooting. It happened Saturday morning on Jackson Street, and according to police, Clayton Adams, a 22-year-old, died at the scene. A second victim, 19-year-old Dylan Bentley, died Sunday at the hospital, and family members have identified the third victim as 20-year-old Landon Skinner. He's in the hospital in critical condition. In the meantime, police arrested 22-year-old Mark D'Souza. He's facing multiple charges, including malice murder, aggravated assault, and aggravated battery. But one thing we're continuing to take a look at is how this happened. We don't know what the motive was or what led up to that shooting. But with these fundraisers, you can find them on our website if you'd like to support the victims. One is helping with medical expenses for the still living victim, Skinner. His mother, Shanna Rose, says he does not have insurance and medical bills are piling up. So she's at the hospital trying to raise money to cover those costs. Another fundraiser is raising money for Clayton Adams, the man you see on your screen, his funeral costs. His family says that he was kind and brave in his last minutes as he tried to help his friends during the shooting. We'll continue to keep you updated, but these fundraisers are trying to raise, it looks like, close to $10,000. So we'll keep you updated there. As we continue here at 2 o'clock coming up, we're going to go out and take a look at a new case involving a Georgia felon that's being indicted for targeting professional athletes in fraud and sex trafficking schemes. Yeah, it's a mouthful. It's a wild story. Ray Urena just got back. We're going to speak with him about what he learned coming up next. Welcome in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thanks so much for being here. We've got Ray Urena with us. And Ray, it's absolutely insane, the story that you were speaking about with U.S. attorneys, because a Georgia felon's being indicted for targeting professional athletes, I understand, but not just in any way, with sex trafficking and fraud schemes?
Yeah, we'll get to that in just a second.
Okay.
But the U.S. attorney, we just finished talking to him about an hour ago. He says that the felon in this case is Kwame Ford. He allegedly impersonated people from Apple support representatives to an adult film star as part of this phishing scheme. But because he's a federal inmate, we don't have any mugshots to show you all, but I just want to show you some background video here. I'm going to reference my notes here, but federal prosecutors say that Ford had pleaded guilty to similar charges back in 2018. That's these documents right here. He was sentenced a year later to those charges to 37 months in federal prison, followed by 3 years of supervised release. But because of the COVID-19 pandemic, prosecutors say Ford was placed on house arrest in September of 2020. Now, federal prosecutors say that 2 days later, while still serving out his federal sentence, Ariel, is when he allegedly began that phishing scheme that targeted these professional athletes. And investigators say through the scam, Ford allegedly got the credentials of the iCloud accounts belonging to multiple NBA and NFL players. And here's what the U.S. Attorney for the Georgia's Northern District had to say just a little while ago.
This all results from Mr. Ford's scheme to take on a number of persona, including that of individuals working for Apple, to try to get into accounts and get personal information from professional athletes, as well as to impersonate people involved in the adult film industry, which led to the sex trafficking of a young woman who Mr. Ford then put up on essentially dates, advertised for this woman to engage in commercial sex acts with professional athletes and record those sex acts. He then used those recordings to try to recruit other professional athletes to engage in commercial sex acts with the same young woman.
Yeah, we did reach out to Ford's public defender in this case, but we haven't heard it back just yet. Right now, federal prosecutors say that Ford faces counts that include wire trafficking, aggravated identity theft, and of course, sex trafficking. And Ariel, prosecutors say that the sex trafficking count alone carries a minimum of 15 years in federal prison with the possibility of life without parole.
Incredible, Ray. And, you know, I was reading through the news release based on this indictment. And, you know, they were saying additionally in May 2021, this suspect, I guess you could say felon, since he already is a convicted felon, but Kwame Ford, they said that he allegedly posed as the adult film star and recruited, tricked, and coerced, allegedly, a female victim in order to get her to do these acts with the players. So my next question is there any talk of others being charged in this? Would the NBA or athletes, players be?
So because of the nature of the case, the U.S. Attorney did not go into and reveal the identities of the victims and these athletes. But just to add to your point, that's what's alleged in the information. That's what U.S. Attorney Hertzberg was just talking about, that this scheme led to that girl being used for the sex acts and being allegedly sex trafficked. But he did say that it didn't go just beyond, you know, identity theft and all of these allegations. He said in one point he actually had this a felon allegedly had access to one of the athletes' indoor security cameras inside of his house. So pretty serious charges that this person is allegedly facing.
And remarkable too that supposedly these acts happened so soon after they were serving a sentence for another case. So very, very interesting.
And in this detention order that I have in here, the prosecutors alleged in court, basically March 13th, so last week, that they wanted to keep him in jail without bail, and that's where he is right now, because he did some of this while he was still serving out his federal sentence on house arrest and going into his supervised release period of his previous conviction, Ariel.
Pretty wild, Ray. Pretty wild. Any final thoughts as you're covering this story? Any other big questions outstanding for you?
Right now, we are still working through all the interviews. There was a lot that was presented during the interview with with the U.S. Attorney Theodore Hertzberg. The fellow you saw sitting next to him is also the FBI special agent in charge for FBI Georgia. So he had a couple things to say about how you could protect yourselves from sort of these phishing and smishing scams. So you can look forward to that later this afternoon.
All right. Well, Ray, thank you so much for your reporting. And guys, as we continue here at 2 o'clock, I want to tell you about some other stories that affect you. This one affects your wallet. So according to the state, Georgia taxpayers are actually going to be getting a rebate this year. So You guys can look forward to that. Let's talk about how this is going to work, because Georgia taxpayers are expected to get these one-time tax rebates. The Governor Brian Kemp, is expected to sign a bill approving them. The payments would be $250 for single filers, $375 for heads of household, and $500 for married couples. Eligible taxpayers, though, must have filed returns in both 2024 and 2025. So keep that in mind. But you could see the extra money in your mailbox or bank accounts as state leaders move forward with this round of rebates. We'll keep you updated on the timeline of everything, but this is something that they are looking at doing. So we'll continue to keep you updated, since I know this will affect a lot of your wallets, and you'll look forward to that. Also getting breaking news about that situation we've told you about in Jasper, Georgia. Remember, we let you know an active shooter incident was underway, and I just got new information. So at approximately 1:30 this afternoon, Jasper police officers were dispatched to a report of shots fired at the VA clinic in Jasper. And upon arrival, officers found a suspected shooter on scene. They say the individual was confronted by the officers who responded and was subsequently shot during that confrontation. One victim was located at the scene and rushed to medical treatment before being airlifted to the hospital. The current condition of the victim is not known right now, and police are continuing to investigate. So this is going to be something we continue to monitor for you guys. Good news to report in all of this, or one bullet point I want to make you aware of, is that no schools are currently on lockdown as a result. We were working to get that confirmed, but the Pickens County Sheriff's Office is the one in Jasper working through this, and they had recently said they would be sending out a media staging area, which tells us that we're going to get more information from police, likely a news update. We're not sure why or how this happened. The motive is unclear, and we're working to get new information on that. So as soon as we do, we'll let you know right here on Fox Local. I'm going to keep an eye off to my right. If we see any shots pop up from our crews that are headed out there to get the news update from police, we will bring it to you live. In the meantime, let's continue on here, because I want to let you know about something that's unfolding in Social Circle. This is an ongoing dispute between the city of Social Circle, Georgia, and the federal government over an ICE facility that is coming there to Social Circle. So here's the latest. Social Circle's city manager, Eric Taylor, is stepping up in opposition against this planned ICE detention facility. The Department of Homeland Security is in the process of transforming a 1 million square foot warehouse into a holding facility. And according to the Walton Tribune, City Manager Eric Taylor told a crowd at last week's community meeting that he's put a physical lock on the water meter that serves that facility. City officials confirmed with Fox 5 that there is in fact a lock on that meter, which would leave the warehouse without water or sewer services. Now, the city says that lock is going to remain in place on that water meter until, quote, ICE indicates how water and sewer will be served without exceeding Social Circle's limited infrastructure capacity, end quote. So this has been a very an ongoing situation, and has increased with this recent move in terms of the confrontation between local and federal leaders, because local leaders have been concerned as to how their small city is going to support such a large facility and the needs of all the people that would be housed in such a warehouse. So we're going to keep you updated on this, no doubt, as it progresses. You can find the latest right here on Fox Local when we get that info. As we continue here, very briefly, I want to let you know that there is a few No Kings protests planned for next weekend. A map from nokings.org shows at least 24 events planned for North Georgia. Cities like Atlanta, Roswell, Marietta, and Smyrna, Conyers, Athens, Noonan, to name a few. So really all across North Georgia, this is being planned once again. The local demonstrations are going to be part of a larger nationwide effort with over 2,000 events planned. We will keep you updated on the latest as this this moves forward. Coming up next, I want to take you out to the Savoy Museum with our Chris Rosenthal. There's a new Corvette exhibit. Might be something to look forward to this weekend if you're looking for something to do with your family. We're going to continue talking about that. And I also continue to keep you updated on this active shooter situation that unfolded in Jasper. Police are going to update us as they get more information. Really quickly, before we head to break, Carrie and Clover here on TikTok, you're asking limiting water for immigrants. So with the Social Circle story, the goal for Social Circle was not to limit water for immigrants. Rather, they want to make sure that this facility is not supplied until the federal government explains how they are going to support this facility from an infrastructure standpoint. The local city of Social Circle has said they do not believe that they have the infrastructure to support all of the immigrants that DHS wants to house in this facility, and they say that's concerning to them, and until they get further answers from the federal government, they want to lock down the water and sewer. There are no immigrants currently being housed in this facility. It is a proposed facility that is not yet open. But this is something that they are trying to get answers from on the federal government because they believe it's going to strain city resources. And they want to address it now as opposed to later once immigrants are already being housed. So we'll keep you updated there. But coming up, we've got more news, and we're going to take you out to the Savoy Museum. So we'll see you right back here. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstad. Thanks so much for being here live with us at 2 o'clock. We've talked a lot about national news, local news, and things that we're covering here in our newsroom this afternoon. I want to take you out for something a bit lighthearted in case you're looking for something to do with your family. There is a new Corvette exhibit opening at the Savoy Museum, and our Chris Rosenthal joins us live to give us a sneak peek, if you will. Chris, this is always such a cool place to be able to see the history of these cars, and especially if you're a Corvette aficionado, what better place to be?
Absolutely, and they have quite a few of them on hand, and some rare ones, some ones here that are one of a kind, and some vintage ones, and going all the way back to 1953. My friend Daryl here, he's going to give us a little bit of a tour here. Hey, Daryl, thanks for joining us.
Good afternoon.
Let's get right to it. This one is extremely special. And I've never seen one like this on the road before.
No, you probably won't. We are so fortunate here at Savoy. The General Motors Heritage Division of General Motors keeps these cars pretty tied up, pretty concealed, and they were gracious enough to loan us 2 very rare Corvettes, this 1959 Stingray Racer, and we'll jump over to the Manta Ray in just a second or two. But this was a car built for racing, and the General Motors division was definitely trying to set records out on the course, and this car was designed to slipstring through the air very quickly.
And I understand this is extremely rare.
Super, super rare. General Motors rarely lets this car out of the Heritage facility, so we were incredibly fortunate to get it here and to have it on display for 4 months.
And I think even Elvis was pictured with this car, huh? So yeah, he was in a movie with it. So from what I understand, they repainted it silver.
Yeah,
so.
I think it was originally silver, and then for the movie got painted red and then back to silver.
Gotcha. Yeah. So very special. Let's go to this one. This is another one we'll never see, huh?
Yes, this is another one that you rarely get an opportunity to see. It is a 1969 Corvette Manta Ray, and as the engineers at General Motors would look for inspiration, they were asked to go on a fishing trip, and when they would go on a fishing trip, they would go deep sea fishing, and of course, if you follow the coloration on this car, you will see that it follows the coloration of a tropical fish from very, very light down below and gradient color change until you get to the very top. They were really inspired by how fast fish could get through the water. So a lot of the design cues on this were designed to get it to slip through the air very, very quickly.
Yeah, it has these crazy taillights, huh?
Yes. In emergency turn braking, these taillights would pop up, and they're actually a mirror inside there. So the light would come on, it would come up, and the person trailing behind you on the track would see that tail light and the lower tail lights at the same time.
Amazing. Let's there's so much to see here. I don't know if we'll get to all of it in our time, but let's walk through here just a little bit more. And I understand you got a 1953 model coming in here.
We do. We have a beautiful 1953 first year for the Corvette. There were only 300 ever produced. They are all Wimbledon white with red interiors. Ours has just been touched up and refreshed. And we will display that Saturday night at our Tireside Chats series, where we will have guest speakers come in. They're subject matter experts, and they'll talk about the history of the Corvette.
And so you can come by next week and see it. It'll be on display. So
yes, it will.
This is kind of a classic sort of design we think of when we think of classic Corvettes, huh?
Oh yeah, definitely. This is the 1957 Corvette. And if you know the history of Corvettes, this is a very rare color, Aztec copper, 1 year only for General Motors, although they still sprayed copper as a main color in 58 and 59. It was not the Aztec copper color. This is a very, very rare Corvette. This Corvette was really kind of a special project by Zora Duntov. There were, at the time, issues with Corvette with handling. It had oversteer, understeer, it had some suspension issues. The leadership at General Motors was not very happy with the Corvette. And Zora Duntov assembled all of the directors of GM and said, look, I have got a fix for everything on the list. I will fix the oversteer, understeer condition by changing the shocks in the back. Awesome. I have a new 283 motor.
Beautiful. Well, we so many beautiful cars to see here, and we got one more live shot of 3, and we're gonna show you a few more of them here. So many beautiful Corvettes up here at the Savoy Museum in Cartersville.
Chris, these are beautiful vehicles, and I would love for you to ask you to bring one back for me. No, that's probably not realistic, but hey, a girl can dream, because that is a really sweet Corvette.
They have a couple for sale, actually, so we'll show those a little bit later. So.
Okay, can't wait. You're going to get the good stuff with Tom here coming up at 3. Chris, thank you so much. Savoy Museum, great place to go with the family to look at some really beautiful Corvettes, Tom. I mean, that beige, the white side paneling, what sweeter ride is there?
I believe you said bring one back,
I did.
Not one for purchase.
I said bring one back.
You're happy to drive one, okay? But it's like a kid in a candy store, right?
It's so good,
It's
yeah.
a kid in a candy store if you're walking through that, and you're a car enthusiast.
So, Tom, can't wait to see that again at 3. Really quickly, what are we looking at?
Ariel, we got a lot still to come on the 3 p.m. streaming hour here at 3 o'clock. We got new developments in this big proposed ICE facility in Walton County. They're talking about will they be able to facilitate it in terms of water usage in that facility? A lot of controversy surrounding that, so we're going to touch on that this afternoon. A Virginia Highland neighborhood fed up over a spike in crime. We'll tell you why, because there's something about that that's going on in Virginia Highlands. Plus a check of the remainder of our work week weather-wise and when this cold weather is finally going to break.
Yes,
Ariel.
it is something else, Tom. Thank you so much.
Sure.
And thank you guys so much for being here with us at 2 o'clock. I'm Ariel Onstott. More on the way here at 3.
Hey everybody, welcome to the 3 p.m. streaming hour here on Fox Local. I'm your host, Tom Haines, with you live in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom with a lot of ground to cover here in the 3 p.m. streaming hour. A lot of stories to bring you up to date on, including some new developments this afternoon in a fight over a proposed ICE facility in Walton County. Social Circle officials have now locked the water meters out there, telling Fox 5 the city simply doesn't have the infrastructure to support an ICE facility's water needs. Let's get out to Fox 5's Annie Mapp live on this story. Annie, you've been out there before. You know the controversy surrounding this ICE facility. Tell us about this latest controversy.
Tom, good afternoon. We're here outside of City Hall where City Manager Eric Taylor is inside. He did send us that statement. He says he felt that this measure was necessary because they still haven't received a clear explanation from federal officials on how they will maintain the water supply at that large warehouse. He says the city is already at capacity with their water and sewer system and cannot handle a project, a development so large in this community. People that we've spoken to today say they have no issue with what services are going to be happening there with the 10,000 detainees that ICE is projected to house in that place, but that their issue is with how it is going to impact their local infrastructure. Again, a lot of them are really concerned. City officials say they really haven't had an opportunity to even sit down and talk with ICE, so they are hopeful that by putting this lock on that meter, they will be forced to have a conversation with city leaders here.
I just don't see how in the world they can come up with that kind of assessment without involving anybody in the community, especially those of us who are dealing every day with a severely outdated and under capitalized public water sewer system.
And Taylor says the water and sewer plant can only process 660,000 gallons per day. And again, that is already at capacity. He says that development plans that they have seen from ICE already show that the daily water and sewer need would exceed that amount. So a lot of concerns here, Tom, with city officials, again, still not knowing how this project will be able to hold up in a community that's already tackling infrastructure problems.
Yeah, and beyond the infrastructure, Annie, as you know, because you've been out there before, I've seen you in that exact spot talking about this exact issue. Beyond the infrastructure, you have sort of the implications of people objecting to ICE in general. I mean, it's a lightning rod of a controversy. You know, people are for the ICE crackdown, certainly. People are against it. So you bring the two of those things together, and this turns into a very difficult situation. Is it at a point, however, where the city can do anything about it? In other words, if federal officials want to come in there and plant a facility there, are they within their rights and means to do such a thing without approval from the city?
Right, so that building has already been sold. It's already been turned over to federal officials. They have the key to that facility. And actually, we were just there a few moments ago, and there's actually security that is guarding that property. We're not sure if that is security that is through the federal government, which we assume it is, since again they now own this building. But the options will be very limited here. You know, they will need that city input if they are going to rely on the water and sewer plant here. Of course, they have options to have their own well if they wish to do so. I know I spoke to a man who owns a farm just right across the street. He says that he has his own well, so that may be an option for federal officials, but still there's so many questions that city leaders don't even have in this community.
It sounds like an inevitability. As you said, the property's already been sold. Looks like this is all but going to happen. The question is, how are they going to bring together the needs of the infrastructure of the facility and what Social Circle is able to provide? So we'll have to see how that unfolds for us. Annie, we know you'll stay on top of it. Thanks so much. I want to get you out to breaking news right now, where we've been on top of a situation involving a VA clinic, this in Jasper. Just got some live pictures up. Our photographer Eric Lynn just arrived there on the scene. And as we get them into the newsroom, of course, we want to bring you to you. You could see the area taped off there. It was a shots fired call at this VA clinic in Jasper. Upon arrival, officers located the suspected shooter on the scene. That individual, confronted by responding officers, subsequently shot during the encounter, we understand. Again, this happening at a VA clinic in Jasper. One victim located at the scene, transported for medical treatment before being airlifted to the hospital. Current condition of that victim not known at this time, as this incident remains under investigation. But again, these live pictures just in, this all happening at about 1:30 this afternoon, when Jasper police responded to reports of shots fired at that VA clinic, which is now taped off with crime scene tape. The individual confronted by responding officers, shot during that encounter, we understand. The condition of the alleged shooter, not known at this time, but the victim, located there at the scene, transported to the hospital for medical treatment, airlifted as well. Condition of the victim, also not known at this time. The situation remains under investigation. Our cameras again are there, and we'll bring you more information as soon as it becomes available. Also in the news here at 3 o'clock, a grandfather from Monroe is dead this afternoon. We understand his grandson remains hospitalized after they were both involved in an overnight chase, in a crash rather, I should say. This happened Sunday night on Atlanta Highway just east of Whitehead Road. Investigators say that John Carter Martin had stopped along the highway to actually help a person with a disabled Toyota Camry. That is that grandfather there. The family members told Fox 5 that the driver was Martin's 17-year-old grandson, Connor Schoon. He is a Winder Barrow High School junior, pictured there. Martin and Schoon were working on the car when an oncoming ambulance struck it, we understand, pinning them both underneath. Well, Martin, we understand, died at the scene while medics rushed the grandson to the hospital with serious injuries. The Georgia State Patrol is investigating the nature of this crash. Georgia taxpayers will soon see a little bit of a boost in their bank accounts. Governor Brian Kemp is expected to sign off on a new round of one-time tax rebates, returning surplus funds to residents across the state. Under this plan, single filers would get $250, while married couples filing jointly would see $500. To qualify, you must have filed state tax returns for both the 24 and the 25 tax seasons. The Department of Revenue will issue the payments via direct deposit or check once the bill is officially signed into law, again, by Governor Brian Kemp. Some interesting legislation passed unanimously at the State House today. This bill concerning restricting access to mugshots and police video. It would require an in-person application, we understand, and force the media to identify everyone in footage surrounding police video. Let's get out to Deidre Dukes, who's live at the Capitol, with how this bill could impact transparency, Deidre, and how it came about in the first place.
Well, the bill actually is designed, we were told by the senator who sponsored the legislation, to help guard against what's called mugshot mills. Those are those so-called predatory websites where, say, someone is arrested, whether they're convicted or not. Their mugshot is out there, it goes up online, and as you know, Tom, in today's world of social media, once something is out there and posted online, it literally lives on forever, unless there's a good scrubbing or something like that that goes on to try to get that off the web. But this is an effort to help prevent that. We were told by the senator who is sponsoring this legislation, but there is some concern out there that it could hurt the press as far as public access to these mugshots and also to videos, police body cam videos, and also just to the general public who right now can request access and could, today fill out the proper paperwork and get a copy of a mugshot, but it would theoretically make it harder to do that. Now, this legislation did pass the Senate before crossover day, and so it's currently making its way through the House. We did talk to the senator who actually crafted this legislation, and here's what he had to say.
What you have right now is you have these companies that are going and requesting every single mugshot of everybody that's arrested. Whether they go to trial or not, whether the case is dismissed or not, that image gets put online, then it lives forever. You have people that are profiting off this by operating companies where they just put images online and charge for entertainment. And then you have people overseas a lot of times that grab those images from those sites, put them on other websites, and then charge people to have them taken down. And we've had stories of people who go and pay a company hundreds of dollars to have an image taken down, then it pops up at other sites. These images live forever. What we don't want is to have people tried in the court of public opinion forever based on one arrest.
And we did hear testimony from sheriffs from here in the metro area who testified as to some of the problems that people who have been arrested have faced as a result of this, people who did not go on to be convicted. Because here in Georgia, if you are arrested, if there's a mugshot created, if you're not convicted, you can reach out to the sheriff's office and request for whichever agency is involved and request that mugshot be removed. And that is how typically it would be done. But again, as we've seen in today's modern age, a lot of times times, once that mugshot is created and it's posted somewhere, it takes on a life of its own. And so there have been situations, instances where that mugshot will be grabbed by some particular site, and either they'll request money from an individual to take that mugshot down, or they simply, that mugshot will just be out there and it'll be nearly impossible, if not impossible, for the person in that mugshot to have it taken down. And so that's a big concern. So here's what the legislation would do. Under the proposed legislation, you'd have to know the names of the people in the video. We talked about this applying to police video also. So you'd have to know the names of the people in the video. You would have to show up at the sheriff's office in person if you're requesting video or a mugshot, and you would have to sign a notarized paper promising that you won't try to make money off of it. And that is where you have those individuals who are concerned that this may severely limit what the general public and also what members of the press are able to gain access to, that it'll really restrict or limit, for instance, our abilities to do so. And so that's where you see the pushback on this. And someone that I did speak with, a critic of the bill, said that they did hope that if in fact it did reach the House floor for a vote, that before it does so, there will be some changes, some amendments made to the bill so that it would address that concern. Although, Tom, the senator did say that this would in no way restrict the public's access and the press's access to these documents and things of this nature, the video and the photos, Tom.
So that was kind of my question, that it would require in-person applications and force the media to identify everybody in the footage. So if it's police body camera footage that we're talking about, you know, so we would have to talk about not only who police are talking to in that footage, but anybody else seen in the footage would have to be identified as well?
That's right. That's what's being argued by the people who've raised the red flag about this. They're saying that theoretically that could be the case. And can you imagine, say, it was an instance where there was a brawl and someone was injured as a result of the brawl and perhaps was arrested or something else happened in regards to that, and we were trying to get a hold of that video. According to this bill, critics say that we would have to then possibly have to name every single individual who appeared in that video in order to legally gain access to that video. Now, those on the other side, those who support this legislation, say that that's not necessarily the case, that under the Open Records Act, that a lot of these concerns that have been raised would not apply, but the way the bill is spelled out, the way things are written out there in the legislation, those we talked to on the other side say just the opposite, that in fact that would be the case.
All right, it'll be interesting to see, even though it got unanimous support in the state Senate, what kind of support it receives over in the House. Are the two kind of linked, Deidre, or just because something got unanimous support in the Senate means it'll face a different fate over in the House?
Right, it really could go either way, Tom, because as you know, there have been several instances where, say, for instance, something passed the Senate or something passed the House, then goes across to the other chamber, and nothing happens. The bill simply dies or stalls out. So just because it passes one house doesn't mean that it will move on and it's going to pass the other chamber. We really are kind of taking a wait-and-see attitude about as it makes its way through the House as to ultimately if this will come up to for a vote on the House floor.
All right, we'll see where it winds up. Deidre Dukes live for us at the state capitol this afternoon. Deidre, thanks so much. Let's talk about where things stand with funding the Department of Homeland Security, because there seems to be no movement whatsoever here from Congress to pass a deal. This means that lines at the airport are going to stay long for a while because TSA agents simply aren't getting paid, and therefore a lot of them are not showing up. Since mid-February, congressional Democrats have refused to approve the DHS budget until Republicans agree to reform immigration enforcement. But that means essential workers at places like TSA and FEMA, the Coast Guard, the Secret Service, all showing up for work with no pay. So imagine that. You go to work every day. You're going to work, but you're not getting your check. and you're wondering when Congress is finally going to move, and you're not getting your check because of a political stalemate. Doesn't seem fair, but that's the situation we're in now. Not fair to TSA workers, not fair to travelers who depend on the TSA to keep them safe in the skies, all right? Especially in our post 9/11 era, 24 years or whatever later. And so now we're seeing images online and on social media sites where people are lined up, as you can see here, that's at our own airport, out the door, because lawmakers can't get together and agree on funding these agencies. Besides the no funding, DHS also has no leader right now. So it's a confluence of nightmarish scenarios here. President Trump firing the DHS secretary, Kristi Noem, not too long ago, you understand, on March the 5th. Nominee Markwayne Mullin has his confirmation hearing tomorrow. So we'll see where that winds up, if he is confirmed or not. And then hopefully we can pass legislation that will get these TSA workers paid and showing up back to work. The director of National Counterterrorism Center, Joe Kent, has resigned over the U.S.'s war with Iran. In his resignation letter to President Trump, Kent wrote, quote, "I cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war with Iran. Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation, and it is clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby." That in Kent's words. Kent's position is a top 5 intelligence community post in any administration. His wife Shannon killed in action in the 2019 bombing in Syria. Here is how the president responded to this resignation from the White House today.
Safe, and I always thought he was a nice guy, but I always thought he was weak on security, very weak on security. I didn't know him well, but I thought he seemed like a pretty nice guy. But when I read his statement, I realized that it's a good thing that he's out, because he said that Iran was not a threat. Iran was a threat. Every country realized what a threat Iran was. The question is whether or not they wanted to do something about it. And many people, many of the greatest military scholars are saying for years that presidents should have taken out Iran because they wanted a nuclear weapon.
Speaking of Iran, here is the latest on the war. American and Israeli attacks on Iran still intensifying, we understand. On Tuesday, Israeli airstrikes took out dozens of top officials, including Ali Larijani, the Secretary of the Supreme National Security Council. A big hit for the United States and Israel because the new Supreme Leader remaining sidelined because of injuries in a strike. Larijani was considered by many to be the de facto leader of Iran, dealing a major blow to that regime. And U.S. leaders say more strikes on Iranian leaders will be coming. The president spoke on the Iran issue from the Oval Office today.
Well, I'm disappointed in NATO that we spend trillions of dollars on NATO. Think of it, trillions over the years, many trillions of dollars. It's one of the reasons we have deficits and we help other countries. And when they don't help us, I mean, it's certainly something that we should think about. I don't need Congress for that decision, as you probably know. I can make that decision myself. I'd work with some very smart people. And I'd always deal with Congress anyway, but I don't need Congress for that decision. But, you know, when you say rethink, I have nothing currently in mind, but I will say that I'm not exactly thrilled when we help them with Ukraine.
Meantime, the Trump administration is issuing a warning to broadcasters over its coverage of the war in Iran. The message, however, is drawing criticism from lawmakers on Capitol Hill from both parties. The battle is over their messaging, according to the administration. On Saturday, the FCC chairman Brendan Carr warned broadcasters that they could lose their licenses for running what the agency considers fake news over the Iran conflict. This is a statement from Carr here. President Trump later endorsing the warning shot on Truth Social, but he's facing pushback, as I said, from some lawmakers in his own party who say that they're not in favor of government interference with free speech. While the FCC doesn't license national networks, it does license local stations like Fox 5 that carry their programming. Meanwhile, some developments in Cuba, the island nation south of Florida. facing a dangerous energy crisis triggered by the United States. The White House disrupted Cuba's oil supply from Venezuela after capturing its leader, Nicolas Maduro. And on Monday, the island's power grid collapsed, plunging 11 million people into the dark. U.S. and Cuban officials are discussing a solution, but President Trump isn't holding back his true desire, which is, quote, a friendly takeover of Cuba. Today, Secretary of State Marco Rubio spoke on the situation there.
Cuba has an economy that doesn't work and a political and governmental system they can't fix. It's not dramatic enough. It's not going to fix it. So they've got some big decisions to make over there.
But Secretary Rubio, do you support, and I know this is up to Congress, but do you support easing the trade embargo if you get more cooperation from Havana?
Well, I'm not going to discuss what we would talk about or not. Suffice it to say that the embargo is tied to political change on the island. The embargo is codified. And but the bottom line is their economy doesn't work. It's a non-functional economy. It's an economy that has survived. That revolution, it's not even a revolution, that thing they have has survived on subsidies from the Soviet Union and now from Venezuela. They don't get subsidies anymore, so they're in a lot of trouble.
Well, it was
The week
Secretary of State,
after the tornado hit, my family and I moved.
that was Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Before that person speaking on the situation in Cuba, becoming a tenuous situation as the energy grid completely collapsed there, leaving over 11 million people in the dark. We'll continue to monitor the situation down there and events as they warrant. Coming up here, you know it's chilly outside, bitterly cold overnight, certainly, when we wake up in the morning for this time of year. Meteorologist Jonathan Stacy waiting here to tell us what the rest of the work week is going to look like and whether we're going to see a warm-up anytime soon when we come back. Good afternoon. Welcome to the 3 p.m. streaming hour. Tom Haynes along with meteorologist Jonathan Stacy. I want to take that shot we were just on during break of the King and Queen building, if we could, for a second, Jonathan, to talk about what just a spectacular day is out there after the storms rolled through. This cold front came in, leaving behind these bitterly cold temperatures, especially for this time of year. But look at the crystal blue sky out there. If it were only a little bit warmer, so is that, you think, going to happen as the week rolls on here?
Let's do it tomorrow, but it's a trade-off tomorrow. More clouds in place, so the skies won't look as divine or delightful as they do today because of the cloud obstruction. Okay. However, we'll warm up into the 50s. So, like I say, it's a trade-off. 50 degrees, the only number on the map, Eatonton. Everybody else, you're in the 40s, and even Blairsville coming in at 38 degrees. Let's zoom into the metro here. You can see it's like 42, 41, 42, 44, 45. Nothing to get excited about. It looks like Dunwoody leads the way with the temperature of 49 degrees, but it's the wind chill that continues to make it feel a bit cooler than it actually is. 41 degrees is the current feels like temperature in Atlanta. Go up to Blairsville feeling like 31 degrees. But the sunshine has made the difference in making the day not feel bitterly cold. It is chilly, but it doesn't have a frosty-like feel to it. Speaking of winter, all the winter weather is up to the north. It looks like some snow showers are grazing either side of the Appalachians at this point, but there's another system that is lurking up to the north and to the west, and it has many miles to travel, but as it travels, it's going to move southward and to the east. And with that being said, it's going to open up the door for us to bring in a little bit of something tomorrow. Maybe a passing shower, but the bigger deal will be the cloud cover. So we could really have a turnaround day based on the positioning of this area of high pressure. We should be like allowing that area of high to push in some southerly moisture and some southerly air, which is obviously warmer. However, the clouds are going to suppress our warm up because we really need the pump of a high pressure, but we also need direct sunlight. So with us having one and not the other, tomorrow's temperatures will still once again end up being below average, much like today. By Thursday, that's when the numbers break free. We cleared the clouds out. There's a little wave moving up, mainly over the Appalachians.
You hearing me now? Test 1, 2, 3.
I don't expect anything from it. So when it all pans out, it looks like another wave tries to move through Friday, giving us a spritz or a sprinkle. But really for the area up there in North Georgia, you're just going to have more thicker clouds than not. As you get into the Atlanta metro area and points to the south, it's just really nice all week long. I'm really trying to find something to pick at in the forecast here. It's cold tonight, back below freezing once more, but then tomorrow's a turnaround day in terms of bringing in some 50-plus degree warmth. However, the sky's just not looking as delightful with more cloud cover in place. 56 for Wednesday, that's your high temperature. Thursday, we'll take it to the mid to high 60s across the area, and we'll capitalize on that warm up with plenty of sunshine into the weekend and high temperatures into the mid to upper 70s, and we'll even sneak in an 80-plus degree temp for Sunday.
So looks like it just keeps getting nicer and nicer as the week goes on. But for those people, because I'm seeing like a lot of blankets over people's plants and the ones that they, remember I told you I went to Pikes last weekend and started buying stuff? Well, a lot of other people did too. So they put it in the ground and now they have to cover it up during the overnight freezes. But plants indoors that can move indoors one more night, right? And keep the covers out there.
I may even go with Thursday night as well, because that is inside the perimeter here. We hold on to a little bit more warmth at night in Atlanta, but I think there will be some communities that fall below freezing for Thursday morning. But after Thursday, we're off into the races. It's 50s overnight after that. So, yep, keep those cold weather preps in mind, especially for the vegetation that is oftentimes tender and rather immature at this time of the season, because these cold nights, they don't stand a chance.
And then back to the garden shop this weekend.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Sun's out.
Do you hang out at the garden shop, Jonathan?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you out there planting and doing things?
I don't plant.
No, I didn't think so.
All right. Producer said, wrap it up. Starting to get in
Is
my
this the
business.
uncomfortable part of the show?
Getting in my business. Wrap it up.
Jonathan, thanks. All right, let's get out to Doug Evans as we take another live look outside at our beautiful day. And stay on the topic of weather, because there was a powerful tribute out there as more than 100 tornado survivors came out to share their stories with one another. That's Doug Evans. The presentation was at a local church, Doug, that also suffered some damage from a tornado. What more can you tell us about that?
Yeah, Tom, that's coming up this weekend as we not celebrate, but remark on the 5th anniversary of the Noonan tornado. I'm standing, Tom, in the very epicenter of the damage here 5 years ago. The tornado came right down Smoky Road in Noonan, hit some of the most populated areas of Coweta County. It was midnight, an EF4 tornado, and it was devastating. 1,700 buildings damaged, 70 homes destroyed, 120 more suffered structural damage. Tom mentioned the church behind me. I remember interviewing the pastor back then. He and his wife were trapped in one of these buildings. This building suffered major structural damage as well. The Biden administration said no to FEMA money, and so it was all on the backs of Noonan. And they spent 4 years recovering. And it took all of that and a lot of effort, a lot of tears, a lot of hard work, and a lot of resiliency. And that comes together in a stage performance in which, as Tom said, 100 people will tell their stories. And let's hear from the producer of that. It's going to happen this weekend. Let's hear from her.
Just a week after the tornado hit, my family and I moved back to Georgia. I had been gone for close to 20 years, and Noonan had always been my anchor point because that's where my family is. And I'll never forget the call that my dad made to me right before we got on the plane saying, Noonan's not going to be the same. And I got in the car the day they opened LaGrange Street for through traffic. I got in the car, I drove through downtown, and I crested that hill over the LaGrange Street Bridge. And that punch in the gut moment where you saw all of the trees gone. And I thought, okay, either I'm going to keep being sad, where I've already been sad for a year with a pandemic, or I'm going to make something beautiful out of this. I interviewed over 100 people about their experience of the tornado and the aftermath. And I ended up also talking about what put Noonan in a place to respond in the way that they did. Because let's be clear, this was the 11th EF4 tornado in the history of Georgia. And it hit some of the most populated areas of Coweta County. And
in the middle of the night.
In the middle of the night, yeah. And no one died. That was my first fascination. No one died directly from the tornado. We did lose Barry Martin that night from a massive heart attack. But no one died directly because of the tornado. And I thought at first, well, that's enough to be making art with, right? But as I started talking to people, I realized, no, the real story is how this community came together.
Yeah, they don't really celebrate anniversaries here, but in year 5, it seems appropriate for people to come together and tell their stories in this stage performance. It'll include the stories that are on video. It also includes orchestral music, interpretive dance, and it's a full-blown stage performance by the community. I think in year 5, it seems appropriate for people to look back and tell their stories. You certainly could not have done this in year 4, year 3, certainly not in year 1, in which so many people were still recovering from this storm, both financially and physically. But that takes place this weekend in Noonan at Unity Baptist Church on Smoky Road. Saturday night's performance is at 7 p.m. and then there's a matinee on Sunday at 2 p.m. You can find out more online. We'll have more information on this as well on our website, fox5atlanta.com.
Yeah, because there is, Doug, a real kinship among survivors of situations like this. I remember, well, I mean, you and I have covered multiple tornado-type situations like this where a community is brought to its knees, literally. Everything around them is destroyed. And as you said, a year is premature because you're still coming out of the woods. Maybe you haven't even rebuilt your property yet. You're still going through the insurance process. God forbid you lost a loved one in the storm. But maybe something like this is cathartic in a way for a community like that who suffered so greatly during such a severe storm to kind of come together and express themselves and emote and not relive the situation, but take it in a positive direction and sort of telegraph to the community that we're healing together.
That's right. I think healing is very much a center part of this performance, Tom. Gwendolyn Kuhlman told me that it's not entertainment. It's a space in which people come together, share their stories, and look back, and from that, find their healing and find their source of resilience, and celebrate that. We don't celebrate the tragedy of it all, but we certainly can celebrate the resiliency of this community coming together and finding its heart in a phrase called Noonan Strong that showed up on a single building the next day. And then that phrase just took off everywhere across Noonan and became the catchphrase for this community, and certainly a symbol of what they were going through and the determination that they had to overcome it.
Nice to see out of this tragedy so many years ago, there's a coming together of that community. Doug, this weekend, thanks so much reporting from Noonan. Appreciate it. As we continue, a Virginia Highland neighborhood fed up about a spike in crime. We'll tell you what they say is behind that as we continue here live. Welcome back, everybody. I want to get you right out to live pictures of a news conference in Jasper from Jasper Police on that shooting situation at a VA clinic this afternoon. Let's listen.
Yeah, that's it.
Can you tell us what you all did after the shooting happened as far as people who were in the Goodwill? Did you pull them out? Did you?
That's part of the investigation. It all happened real fast, but I do know everybody in there. As far as I know, there is nobody else is injured. The people that were inside, just one victim.
Any idea how many people were in the VA when the shooting happened?
I do not know.
And the suspect was shot inside the VA?
No, ma'am. He was outside.
He was shot outside.
By officers or by a security guard?
As far as we know, officers.
We don't really normally come up here that often. What's it like to have something like this happen in such a quiet town?
It'll be eye-opening, I guess, for the citizens here. Shock, a lot of shock factor. We don't have this often. As often, I think the last one we had was a couple of days ago, but 2005. But we've had some events here lately, but just more people. It happens.
Nothing like this. This is a significant for you.
Yes, this is a significant thing for us.
And you said the victim was transferred via life flight?
Yes.
Okay. And is the FBI coming? Because the business owner or the owner of the building was saying that like everything that happens down there is federal.
Yes,
so,
this will be investigated by the federal government, the FBI.
The FBI will be investigating?
Yes, ma'am.
The GBI is?
Yes, ma'am.
And the GBI is here for standard protocol. Officer fired a shot, so they have
Yes,
to...
we requested them.
And then the FBI will be investigating the shooting inside the VA.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's standard protocol FBI investigating if it happens on VA property?
I would assume, yes, just being that it's a federal system or area.
All right, live pictures from the Jasper Police Department talking about the shooting today at the VA clinic out there in Jasper. Officers locating the suspected shooter there on the scene. The individual confronted by responding officers, shot during that encounter. A victim at the VA clinic there in Jasper who was struck by gunfire, airlifted to the hospital. Officials reiterating that exact same statement, which they sent us earlier today, saying federal officials are now going to move in and investigate. Want to take you now to Virginia Highland, where we're talking about residents there raising alarm over a recently remodeled apartment complex. They say that the low-income housing project has brought a surge in crime. Let's get out to Kevin Stewart, who's on top of the situation for us, and the response among residents there, Kevin, to this apartment complex having been built.
Yeah, this is the building behind me, 729 Bonaventure Avenue, just off of Ponce de Leon. This is an interesting situation here. You know, this has been a project that has been much ballyhooed, and I had a ribbon cutting back in 2024. It's rapid housing. There are 23 units. The income level here is one person, $23,000. So it's designed for people who are chronically homeless. And one person that I talked to described it as a great idea, just gone bad because they say it's not managed properly. They've been trying to get a hold of management, trying to figure out, hey, can we work something out? You know, why all the noise and the crime and things like that? And they said they haven't been getting any good feedback. You know, we tried to reach out to them today and had no luck. I want you to listen to two residents we talked to.
To us, we've been instructed by security not to talk to us, and we really are kind of at a loss now to address what is a growing problem. We believe that everybody should have an opportunity, a second chance opportunity to have a place and live, but at the same time, they have to be able to work within the framework of a community. You know, respect for each other, respect for your neighbors. And I think that's really all people are asking.
There is no management of it. I mean, you know, what's happened is they put people in there. Okay, we put security out on the street, but they're not dealing with everything else that it's brought to the neighborhood. The amount of people that are going in and out of that building, what we're all witnessing is drug deals going on, you know, from the neighboring building, and the stabbing that just happened where I'm standing this weekend.
Oh, you know what? You know, what's really interesting here is that they say that this is really a bad mix. You know, they're really disappointed. They don't want to end it. They want to mend it. They want this place to be better managed. When we arrived here this morning around 10 o'clock, 10:30 or so, right back on the corner, we actually saw police activity. They were actually trying to break up homeless that have been camping out in the area. And so they're saying that you have these competing, well, not necessarily competing, but you have these two entities. You have some folks who may be troublesome in this apartment complex, and then you have homeless, and it's just a bad mix in the area. Police ended up dispersing the area, and I had a chance to talk to the landlord of the building on Ponce. It's the bubble tea spot that's been vacant for a little bit. Apparently, people have been camping out there, and so the landlord took away some of the old patio furniture and things of that nature to try to deter homeless folks from hanging out there. So it's really been a really awkward situation out here, Tom.
So this property, since you're in the Virginia Highland neighborhood, presumably owned and operated by the city of Atlanta. And I'm wondering if they go through any sort of like council meetings or what have you to allow residents to weigh in on whether or not they want a building like this operated in their neighborhood? Or did this go through any sort of residential feedback in that area?
It did. You know, I'm not clear on who actually owns it. I know it's a partnership between the city and a developer. But like anything, you know, you have to go through a zoning process, and there were neighborhood meetings with the MPU to get some feedback. And the two people I talked to, one of them was unaware at the time, another one was aware, but they said there were promises that this place was going to be managed properly. People who live here are supposed to be undergoing get mental health evaluations and get checked up upon, but they say that's just not happening. They said that at one time there was security here just a few hours a day, but because of problems, it's now here 24/7. When we arrived, actually, we were walking on the sidewalk, which is public right-of-way. We can be there. Someone tried to shoo us away. So people are apparently trying, but it's just not working.
Yeah. Well, as you said, and as you reported, there seems to be a willingness amongst residents in that area to lend a helping hand and to provide space for people who need rehabilitation. They just want better security in their neighborhood so that the kinds of nefarious things that they report are happening don't happen. Kevin Stewart, live for us in Virginia Highland. Kevin, thanks very much. When we come back, and on a much lighter note, cars and culture coming together in Cartersville. Wait till you see some of these vehicles. They're shiny, they're new, they're classic, some dating all the way back to the 1950s when we come back. Welcome back, everybody, to the 3 p.m. streaming hour here on Fox Local. I'm Tom Haynes. It's been so great having you with us this afternoon, whether you're streaming on our mobile app on your device, on our streaming platform, Fox Local, or if you're watching at home on one of your live channels. Certainly glad you're here this afternoon, or through one of our social media sites at Fox 5 Atlanta, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and we always appreciate your feedback on those platforms. Or on the radio, 107.9 HD2 FM. Certainly glad you're with us as well. As I said, want to get you out to Cartersville this afternoon. That is Chris Rosenthal Is that your ride behind you, Chris? Looks pretty spectacular. Where are you?
Yeah, I'm trading in my news vehicle for this vehicle right here at the I'm actually at the Savoy Automobile Museum here in Cartersville, where they have lots of special cars and exhibits here. But they've got the Corvette exhibit here, some very special cars. And I'm joined by Mary here, and Mary's going to give us a little tour here. And let's start with this one right here. There's no other car like this.
Okay, this is a one of a kind. It is from the GM Heritage Museum. This was Bill Mitchell's 1959 Chevrolet Corvette Stingray Racer. He commissioned this to be built. He paid for it himself, but while they were building this, they also built the prototype for what became the Stingray. So the actual second generation cars that came out.
And it's got an Elvis connection to it, huh?
Yes, this showed up in the movie Clambake. Now, if you look at the reader board, the car was red at one point, and of course, Elvis is there in his white suit like he's not going to get dirty since he's a race car driver. It is now silver, and it has gone through some iterations. At one time, there was a 396 engine in there. That's not what's in there now. It was originally a 4-speed. It's now an automatic. So it has had its times where they've had to change things, but I just heard recently that the head of the foundation said that if the building caught on fire, this is the one car that they would pull out because they would want to save it because of the historic value to them.
That's GM right there.
Yeah.
And let's go through. I wish we could get to all of them here, but we got so many here. And
well, we have C3. This is wide body racing. This is Greenwood's car, John Greenwood. He built 5 of them. This is the first. This is like when you stuff a 427 engine in a Corvette that is meant for people to drive on the street. Could be a lethal machine. Wide body, when they started doing the wide body Stingrays. And of course, you want the wide body, better traction. Now, of course, all that is done aftermarket. 57, this is the second round of the C1. This has the Cove side to it. That is an original color. We have 2 split windows here. The one on the left is a passenger car. The other is a Z06. It is specifically for racing, fuel injection. And then we come back to the twins. And the last of the 1955s, the 699th and 700 of a 700 run, matching cars, both sold and lived in California for a number of years. At one point owned by the same gentleman for 61 years. His daughters drove them. They are now owned by Vintage Corvette up in Somerville, Georgia, Greg Wyatt. They are for sale. So anybody out there looking for a Corvette, please get a hold of Greg. I'm sure he can take care of you for that. But really iconic pieces of Corvette history. And so these are C1s. This is the beginning of it. So this is the first iteration of a C1. The 57 is the second iteration. And then we went into the Stingray.
Beautiful. And these are 1955. Real quick, about 30 seconds here. You got a 1953 coming in here, huh?
Yes, we do. It's been thoroughly restored. It will be unveiled Saturday night. We have a special Corvette program going on. Ken Gross will be down here, and we will unveil the 53.
And you can come down probably next week. It should be here to see.
It should be here on the floor.
And this exhibit goes on until May.
The end of May.
End of May, up here at the Savoy Automobile Museum. Again, you can check out these beautiful Corvettes. And that's not all. They have rooms full of other cars here, too. They still have a Ferrari display as well that's going on for about another week. But I'll tell you, being around these cars, it's pretty amazing being around them all day.
Cool.
And
so cool. Love the view out that window, too. Beautiful cars, beautiful venue for all of this come together in Cartersville. Chris Rosenthal with a great tour of some classic automobiles this afternoon. Chris, thanks. And thank you for being with us today on the 3 p.m. streaming hour here on Fox Local. I'm Tom Haynes. Don't go anywhere. The news continues right here, right now.